close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the second round match in between Xiaozington and Jawi, as this time around at least one of those players surely will have to take full control of the session number 2, because in the first one it was anything but that, but still probably the session of the championship when it comes to the pure quality and the pure match that both of these players have certainly been there, and equally as much of a match for each other, because it was a really good start there for Jawi. Taking that first frame was very important. Would have been even more important had he been able to take that red away, and numerous opportunities in the second frame, despite being 15 points down, wasn't able to take those chances, and then Xiaozington managed to clear up with a break of 61 points at that stage. And yeah, the breaks were constantly improving there by the players, but ultimately it was still Ding to be leading 2-1 and 2-3. Before losing out to bizarre frames, because he had great chances to clear up in the frame number 7, and then in frame number 6 I should say, then the frame number 7, way too many of those mistakes, and once again just couldn't hold on to the lead, but then done exactly the opposite of what he's been doing the last 2 frames, and managed to actually do a bit of a un reverse card on Xiaozington, and producing that fantastic clearance, especially with that red, taking it off the side cushion and making sure that he was able to finish off with a break of 62 points, taking that last frame by a single point as well on the final black. It was anything but comfortable for either one of the players, but right now it probably will come down to either one of those 2 players trying to make sure they get themselves in the opportunity, and if they're going to be able to take it from here, certainly nothing that can stop either one of them, because a really good thing about Xiaozington or Jawi is that both of them have given themselves a chance to try and stay with the opposition. But if it is to come down to the factor of, Ding playing superbly well, or even worse for Ding, if Xiaozington is going to be playing superbly well, especially with him being the top seed, especially with what he's done at the Crucible last year, he is going to be capable of trying to do he's had that scoreline of 4 frames each at Ronnie O'Sullivan's match, and he's, nothing stopping him from winning the next 8 frames and take a 12-4 of a lead. And in the end, ended up winning that match with a session to spare incredibly as well. But I feel like Ding is going to be a match if he just manages to basically turn up with the form that he's been showing last time around on yesterday's afternoon session. Of course, the match in between those players will end tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it is going to be in the morning session as well. But, certainly great stuff now. We are guaranteed to be seeing that third session. Whether it is going to be 12-4 down for one of the players, potentially could be the case, but another mention, as I said, we've seen Shaun Murphy already by the point that these two have played the first session out. He was through to the round 3, and he is going to play the winner of this match. But now, of course, we've seen the winner of 2024 season to be knocked out. The world number 2 is going to switch to the world number 6 in best case scenario there for Kyle Wilson, that already has said he will be looking forward to the new chapter for the next season. What's your prediction for Chris versus Robert? I mean, I've seen that match. I'm not going to say that I've seen the last 2 frames because that's a lie, but I don't really understand because I sort of stopped watching on the 6th frame. And then Robertson was playing really well. I mean, Wakeland was all over the place with him finishing his chances. But I'm really surprised that Chris was able to grind out those last 3 frames and, basically make it down to just 2 sessions. Once again, 4 frames each. So fair play to him. But I feel like, I don't want to be disrespectful to Neil, but I feel like from what we've seen of him, he can have a fantastic session like what he's done against Pang in the session number 2 for me. Probably the performance of the championship so far. He's had the opposition. Pang wasn't playing too badly. He's managed to shoot him down completely with his brilliant safety, with his long shot. His ability to, his snooker IQ and his ability to choose out shots was incredible. And then once again, he's had a similar sort of performance like that. He wasn't quite as high scoring. He had that costly miss on Wakeland's point of view, where he was able to take a really good clearance despite being 50 points down. And it just feels like it's a little bit weird for Robertson to be losing the grip on a 4-1 of a lead. But I still feel like it is going to be Neil's match to lose, especially because you realise that the class of 92 are potentially going to wear themselves down, and he's going to be the one to try and pounce on the opposition. But right now it is Xiaozington that is leading the poll of 77% for him to be the winner of session number 2. As we still wait for the players to come back onto the arena. It shouldn't be too far though on the schedule and the plan. But for now, it certainly seems like certainly the stream for me hasn't started. So let me just try and see if match in between Judd Trump and Hossein Wafai, which is going to be played on the other table in comparison to us as well. So let's have a look if that one has started either, because it doesn't seem so. Nope, it hasn't. Although it is time for that to be the case, because they usually do the walkouts on something like 35 past, but it should be live right now. And the shot is about to be taken by Hossein Wafai out there. Yeah, briefly on that match, really good performance from Hossein against Jawi. 9 frames on the bounce. Trump had a similar situation like that, where he basically won 9 out of the last 10 against Gary Wilson, but you feel like Trump really needs to try and, make that match a bit comfortable for him, because he's certainly going to have a huge test ahead of him if he is to place either Weezer or Mark Selby in probably one of the best, if not the best, the quarterfinal lineup that you can possibly have in the World Championship. Really looking forward to a potential of Xiaozington against Shaun Murphy, because I feel like, purely from the names point of view, it is going to be better for Murphy to play Xiaozington, because once again, as much as, you feel like Dean can maybe have a performance in him, but how well Murphy's played, I mean, you always have to say, if you beat the world champion, you're going to be a real threat, but it's going to be one of those situations for me where if Ding is going to win this match, there's no way he's going to have enough fuel in the tank for a 39-year-old that he's going to be able to take out the likes of David Gilbert in the first round, Xiaozington in the second round, because they clearly have to do that on the basis of 3 sessions, and then try and do that with Shaun Murphy, that he's going to have something like 3 or 4 days of rest for him. And now, once again, we are going to be welcoming the players onto the arena. So finally, all the action can turn into, hopefully, another fantastic 8 frames of snooker. Nothing like we've ever seen at the Crucible of the 2026 season, not ever, but this season so far. It was a fantastic session of snooker, apart from a couple of early mistakes from both of the players at the beginning of the match. Right now, it is going to be Ding Jawi that makes his way towards the table, and now his compatriot and the icon of China is about to be introduced to the table as well. It is going to be the world number 4 against the world number 16. Of course, Ding Jawi has got a potential chance to try and move up the rankings if he is to progress to the quarter-final stage and potentially get himself through to the semi-final. Try and get, further away from Jawi, but ultimately can try and potentially overtake another player from China of Xiaozington. Of course, Xiaozington doesn't have any of those ranking points to lose because 2 seasons ago, he was not even on the tour because of his 3-year ban, 2-year ban, I should say. And now it is going to be Xiaozington to return back to the action. The guy in the front row is here, so that is certainly going to be a great sign that we are here for a fantastic session of snooker. He's changed his shirt as well. He's an absolute treasure of snooker, and we do hope that it is going to be a great sign that Xiaozington and Ding Jawi will put a great match ahead of us. Right now, the party is ready to get started, and Ding Jawi is going to be the player to break off. Seems like he has managed to keep a couple of those reds away from the side cushions, but to be fair, it's a nice break off that because pretty much opened up the right-hand side of the table, but managed to get the cover on the green. So Xiaozington shouldn't have anything easy available to him, as he's just about to have a look at the left-hand side. Maybe try and play a little bit thin on the edge there, make sure that the cue ball is going to bounce towards the black ball cushion, whereas the red is going to go towards the top-hand side of the table. So far, the match time is only 2 hours and 50 minutes. Of course, that's going to exclude all the intermissions, all the breaks, and that is going to be pure match playing time. So 8 frames for, 135 minutes is brilliant when you think about it, because that's pretty much 20 minutes per frame on average, which especially with how many lengthy of those frames we've seen, it could still be... that's that to be improving even further, as Ding now just trying to carefully play that cue ball away from the dangerous part of those reds. And of course, if you need me to tell you how close the first session has been, then just have a look at the total points scored. 420. Oh, that's a bit of a weird shot there from Zhao, but manages to get away with it. I'm not sure he was trying to send that red so far out wide so that he was going to catch the black and the reds, but in the end, he sort of managed to keep them away from each other. And doesn't seem like he's left anything available here for Ding Jawi. But yeah, 428 points to be scored. And then, of course, 58, 62, 80 and 81 being the highest top 4 breaks of Ding Jawi's campaign in the first 8 frames. And if you talk about pot success in the entire tournament, it will be 90% for Xiaozington, 93% for Ding Jawi, which could be down to, Xiaozington had a bit of a more difficult match against Liam Highfield because he was certainly kept on his toes throughout the majority of that match until probably the end stage, where he sort of managed to get that nice healthy lead of 9 frames to 5 at the end, but may have a chance now to go for the red into the corner. Beautifully it goes, and Xiaozington is certainly going to be the one to try and have the first chance of the 9 frame. Played that fantastically well, especially the way that he managed to hold the cue ball for the black. Never easy to do when you take the pace away from the white, but long pot success so far, 69% for Xiaozington, more than double the advantage of that percentage over Ding Jawi here. So now he's got 8 points of a lead. So if he just carefully goes for this red, probably still not going to be able to hold the cue ball for the black, although as he tries to basically barge the red out of the way and place that cue ball to be in a position of that red. He seems to have done that pretty well and actually left himself with a natural angle on the black to try and get in behind of the red. Thank you for the commentary. At least I have that since I kind of watch it anyway. Thank you very much for the lovely chat there as well. And yeah, it will be down to a decent opportunity here for Xiaozington, but you probably have to say it will be difficult for him to try and win the frame in the current visit to the table, unless, of course, he does the Xiaozington magic. He seems to have tried that to do it right now, and I'm pretty sure it hasn't worked out for him at all. yeah, he needed to try and make things happen, but I felt like he was probably trying to do that one or two shots, one or two reds too soon. You know, he still could have easily played for that in behind of the red, to taking it into the corner of the right-hand side of the table. In the end, decided not to be doing that. And you will be down to just 16 points to be scoring there from Xiaozington, unless he can find an incredible cut into the middle. You know, the second closest reds to the left side cushion probably is the only option for him to go for, but it's certainly not the angle that you want to be getting yourself involved with. So now just having a look to see. Probably the cue ball placement, as probably can't get through to the ball colours and to the ball cushion here in relation to the way that he's going to be stuck in between those reds. So just try and carefully play this one towards the black ball cushion. Maybe trying to go for a double, you know. This is going to be a decent opportunity now. He's gone for a double and it's not too far away, but it seems like the pace of that red, the line was good, but the pace just got away from it, which is always going to force the cue ball, force that red to be heading towards the far end of the jaw. And that was exactly something that's happened. Greetings from Australia. Your man's doing good, by the way, because despite him not having a lead against Wagelin, at least he's still going to be in that match. And Chris is one of those players that you can never write off. And he's had a decent campaign last season, getting through to the quarterfinals and losing out to the eventual world champion as well. But for now, Robertson seems like he's doing pretty well. As yeah, it seemed like that double gamble has worked out there for Xiaozington, because even though he's missed it, it still doesn't seem like he's left anything easy away from Ding, apart from maybe a red that he's looking at right now into the green pocket. I mean, he can't take this red away into the middle, as far as I can see. If he plays that shot with a bit of a screw back, he can try and do the reverse thing on Xiaozington, where he basically puts the cue ball into a relatively safe area and then just tries to sort of work out as he goes. Well, he's going for another option, but I feel like he's still playing this red into the green pocket. He is. Is he going to be able to get it? No, he won't. Well, it's a little bit surprising there that he's decided to play that shot with topspin, because to me, the red next to the pin will go into the left corner, whether Xiaozington feels like it's going to be worth to be taking on that shot or not. And it clearly goes. So to me, it's going to be down to whether he can try and find a little bit of purchase on that cue ball. Make sure he's going to keep running as it reaches the bottom half of the table. And yeah, at the end, it seems like he wasn't really something that Xiaozington thought he was worth it in the end. And well, clearly Ding Jawi had that one covered, because he was clearly happy to leave that red in case you know, his attempt of a long pot wasn't successful. And now it is going to be back to the tournament. I think Zhao hasn't found his form yet this tour. Yeah, but the thing about it is that usually for him, the further he gets into the tournament, if you can talk about the World Grand Prix, the Players' Championship, the Tour Championship, the Players' Series that he's managed to complete with a Grand Slam, but you know, every single time, the further he gets into the tournament, basically, the better he plays. And that was the case in the World Championship, because if you talk about the way that he was, you know, yes, the first round against Jack Jones wasn't too difficult, but, you know, Jack Jones was probably a bit of a question mark at the Crucible anyway, because it's a bit like, he's a mystery man. How did he get himself through to the final, and then he loses in the first round twice in a row there? Yes, you could say that he was up against Mark Selby and Xiaozington, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, because if you look at the way that he's played during those two matches, then he could have played against, well, pretty much any qualifier, and he still could have easily found himself to be losing it. So the fact that Xiaozington is in the second round, he's playing against a legend of snooker in China as well, which potentially could add a little bit of pressure. I would expect that to be brought out of the equation, though, at the session number 2, because you would expect, you know, that thing to settle down for Xiaozington at the starting point of the match, but probably not right now. And he probably is going to be down to just trying to do his best, make sure he plays his best snooker, and then anything on top of that is going to be a bonus. For now, Ding Jawi just trying to find that cue ball to be heading towards the safe place of the bowl colours. And the bowl cushion is going to be meeting the white. So he has pushed one of those reds to be closer to the right corner, but it still seems like the blue is going to be covering that particular red. Although, I mean, I'm not sure about it. I'm going to see the angle in behind that red to actually tell you for a fact. But the fact, of Xiaozington, not even looking towards the right-hand side, probably suggests that that is the case. Also, I feel like he seems a lot worse, seemingly weaker players. He also said that he feels more pressure playing against fellow Chinese players. Well, I mean, he can say what he wants. It's a good shot there. And is he going to be on the black? Of course he will be. And that's a fantastic red there. Well, that was the thing there. I'm a little bit surprised that Xiaozington was acknowledging the shot from Ding Jawi, but still, he was able to get through past the blue onto that red that I mentioned previously. He wasn't looking at it for too long, so I thought surely he can't get through to it. So there's not a lot you can do, but in the end, able to pot that red. And but you're right. Well, not really to me because that's a horrible shot there with the spider. Don't know what happened there for Xiaozington, but seemed like he was a little bit too focused on the positional play, and he certainly misjudged that one by a mile. Wasn't even close there for the black, and now it's going to be Ding Jawi to come back to the table. But yeah, to finish off on the point there, if you look at the way that he's played against Chinese players this season, the only defeat that I can think of is going to be Weezer in the semi-finals of the International Championship in Nanjing. He's managed to beat Xiaozington. He's managed to beat Zhang Anda, or has he lost? No, he lost to Zhang Anda in the UK Championship, hasn't he? Okay, he's managed to beat Ding in the Shanghai Masters. He's managed to beat Zhang Anda in the World Grand Prix as well. He hasn't really played against too many Chinese players though, has he? He's managed to beat Wu Yize in the World Grand Prix as well, as far as I can remember. As Ding now, thinking about the shot that he's going to play on the black, could have played this one a little bit better, just trying to get the cue ball further up the table. But in the end, the black is in. He's still on the red. He's just the position is not going to be quite as easy as it could have been there for Ding. But yeah, I mean, I don't really agree with that. I understand that. I don't really understand, to be fair, because when it comes to the weaker players, tell me a defeat from a weak player that we've seen from Xiaozington. You know, the latest losses that he had was Stuart Bingham, Welsh Open, World Open to, what's he called, Gary Wilson. Neither of them are top 16 players, but neither of them are weak players as well. Then he had 3 tournaments where he basically haven't lost a match as well. Of the World Grand Prix, of the Players' Championship, and then of the Tour Championship as well. Then at the German Masters, he lost away to Tom Ford, which, alright, you can probably put in that equation, but to be fair, I mean, you probably have to come back to Joe O'Connor defeat in the Home Nations, to Jordan Brown defeat in the Home Nations as well. Apart from those two, I can't really name a player that was weak or outside of the top 32 that has actually managed to defeat Xiaozington, especially when it comes to, you know, a really good performance from Zhao's point of view, because he lost to Trump before in the Champion of Champions. He's lost to, what's his name, Zhang Anda in the UK Championship, lost to Higgins in the quarterfinal of the Masters, and then he still had a couple of really good performances. He had a miserable performance against Wilson at the semi-finals of the Shanghai Masters, but apart from that, he's been rock solid when it comes to the consistency point of view. And now it's a bad shot once again there by Ding Jawi, and he's about to try and go for a difficult red here, you would have thought, because he hasn't got anything simple available to him. And if he tries to go for the red into the green pocket, it's not going to be an easy way for him to try and get on the colour from it as well, because naturally, you want to try and play for the blue. But if you are going to be playing for the blue, you could easily give away a chance for Xiaozington in case you miss this straight away. Positional success for Ding is 87%, which for his standards is going to be way below average. He needs to go for this red because he's going to be playing for the colour, but ideally he wants to try and take that cue ball towards the ball colours, which to me is something that he's trying to do. Plenty of topspin on the shot and not plenty of accuracy. The red is going to stay out and he will stay over the yellow pocket. So unless the yellow is going to be the cover point for the cue ball, which it won't be, it is a break of 16 points, which ends it there for Ding Jawi. We've seen a break of 16 points by Xiaozington as well. But right now, he's about to go for another little run of trying to finish off the first frame of the second session. And yeah, make sure that he's going to find himself in the lead of this match. Only for the second time, by the way, despite being 3-2 down, managed to come back and lead 4 frames to 3. But that was the only time where it was him and not Ding to be leading away in this encounter. So now just having a look at those reds at the lower end of the table. It doesn't seem like he finds himself quite as comfortable with, you know, having to play the perfect positional shot here. Because yes, you could say those 8 reds are very awkwardly placed, because he could probably say 7 of them are going to be blocking the other 8. So yeah, it just could be a little bit difficult for him to try and play the perfect safety shot with those reds. But of course, he's going to be trying to make sure that he gets that cube in the right position, and he sort of put it in the zone there, which seems like it's worked out really well, because he's close to giving himself a couple of options. Certainly a red into the middle, but also the red into the right corner. Seems like it's not going to be too far away from being available. And at the end, can he try and just carefully roll this red away into the left-hand side of the table and make sure that he tries to stick it on the block? And if he does it, he should have a great line of taking this break the distance. Now he pushes one of those reds out of the way, but ultimately he doesn't have to worry about that one too much, as he now plays a really good shot on the block. He's got the position, he's got the reds to choose from right now, because he's managed to make a minimal contact with them, which is still going to have very severe consequences potentially for Ding Jawi. Right now he's going to take himself and put himself into 14 points of a lead, and be able to take another red carefully into the corner, make sure that he plays for the block with a slight angle to try and take that cue further up the table. And once again, this time around, he has got a couple of those reds to choose from, both into the right and the left corner as well. He doesn't want to catch the red that he has caught, and unless that red is going to be playable into the middle, this may be a very costly mistake there in relation to the break. All he had to do is to make sure that he puts that cue ball either on the left or the right of that red, but whatever he had to do is not, of course, not to touch it. Seems like he got away with it, or has he? Yeah, he was playing that red with power, which, you know, made that pot a little bit more difficult, but at least he's managed to recover. And now it will be down to Xiaozington to have a look and, you know, just carefully play the blue into the right middle, play the cue ball into the pink, which certainly was a tactical thing for him to do, because even if he's not going to be on the red into the corner, he'll have 2 reds to choose for him to be taken into the left-hand side of the table. So once again, just carefully take the reds, play for the blue for one more time, and then this time around, probably hold the cue ball for the red to be closest to the pink spot. Make sure you get yourself a decent chance of taking probably a 50 points of a lead at least, because at that point, surely you're going to have fewer of those reds to be available to yourself in comparison to the advantage that you're going to have a possess. And yeah, just carefully looking at this red to be taken into the corner. Make sure that he tries to play that cue ball for the pink and get himself positioned for another red to be taken into the left middle. So 35 points is the lead. He'll be 41 with the pink. 3 more reds available. So he needs one more red and a color combination after this one. So 2 more shots now as he takes the pinks nicely, trying to play that cue ball into the gap in between the 2 reds. And he's probably going to be taking the one slightly closer to the cue ball, not just for the distance, but also for the angle, just naturally trying to drop it for the black, which of course will be a frame ball for him, as he's now got 42 points of a lead, 43 at the table, and he could well try and turn this one to be the highest break of the, well, the first 50 plus break, I was going to say, of the session number 2. It's going to be 4th highest break that we've seen from Xiaozington, and just trying to make sure that he gets the red into the middle and could still make a total clearance out of this one. It won't be a century break here, of course, but he could still try and take it into the zone of 90 points if he takes the remaining 2 reds with high value colors. But of course, nothing's going to threaten the situation of this frame not to be won by Xiaozington, as he manages to take the first blood away from Ding Jawi. Then he has his chances, but once again, you feel like with Ding not using those chances to the full extent, the further he gets into the match, the more pressure he will feel that he needs to be taking it first time. Otherwise, he'll find himself in the world of trouble. Is there a cash prize for 147? There is. If you make 2 of them, I'm pretty sure if you make just 1, it is going to be just a high break prize, which is 15,000. And yeah, not a lot to say apart from that. So he will be down to just carefully taking the green away and into the part of that table. So it's a break of 68 points. So you could try and make a total clearance of 90 points exactly, as he's about to take the brown as well. Make sure Zhao 10 takes this session. That could be the case, but of course for you to win the second session, sorry, the 16 frames on the basis of 10 frames to 6, you need to make sure you win the second session by 6 frames to 2, which was done by Barry Hawkins yesterday against Mark Williams. It won't be a total clearance, by the way, because that's a surprising miss on the pink, but it doesn't really matter at the end. Still a break of 77 points there from Xiaozington, make that the 4th highest break in the entirety of the match, and it will be down to Xiaozington taking a 5-4 of a lead against Jawi and trying to make sure that this will be the point where Ding is going to have to play catch-up starting at this stage and potentially have to be taking this match all the way in relation to not leaving too many of those chances for Ding to try and recover until the end point of session number 2. Thank you very much, by the way, for everyone watching. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We are going to have another great match and a brilliant clash of the 92 players, certainly being up against each other. Ronnie O'Sullivan against John Higgins, session 1 out of the potential 3. He's going to be coming up on the Saturday night, I should say, at 7 PM today. So less than 4 hours starting from this point as well. And 7 frames are going to separate Ding Jawi and Xiaozington to make sure that their respective matches are going to end, especially today. And by the way, Chum has managed to take a lead against the Saint Fei by 86 points to 21, and he's now going to lead by 1 frame to 0. So you feel like it's not quite going to be game over here, of course, and it won't be until, Zhao wins 2 or 3 frames on the bounce, and that will, of course, put Ding Jawi on the back foot quite badly. But at the same time, he needs to make sure he goes back to the basics of the first session, and he just, should be able to just try and make sure he's going to be the one. Very much for Xiaozington to try and catch out there, as it's a break-off shot once again to be done there by Xiaozington. So the previous one from Ding managed to leave a couple of the reds on the right-hand side of the table, but at the same time, he's covered them up nicely with the green. And right now, just carefully looking at the shot of the reds into the left-hand side of the table here, because something that he can do, especially if he wants to try and play for the black, but there's a red right next to the black as well, which of course if you play for the black and you miss that red, you could easily have an easy introduction there for Xiaozington. It doesn't seem like he's too happy with himself on that break-off, though he may just be thinking about, the next short selection for him to do, which will depend heavily on what Ding is going to try and do, but surely, he's not going to be taking too many of those rush and risky decisions here, especially if he finds himself 5-4 down. Carefully places that cue ball to be on the black ball cushion, and now leaves a chance for Xiaozington to try and play away from the bunch. Seems like he's going to be able to do that pretty well here in relation to, he's got the right hand side of the table for him to be aiming towards, and the red closest to the yellow spot. It's not going to be too much of a problem, although he would have liked to be seeing the cue ball to be slightly close to the cushion, but still it's probably not going to be too far away. So that Ding can do something with that red next to the yellow spot in the attacking display. He may still try and go for a double here, although the angle is not really going to be in favour of dropping the cue ball for the colour. So he may just have a little look to see if that cue ball is going to get around the black, if he is to take it red into the right corner instead, or he can just try and bounce that red away from the cue ball, make sure he plays it as a safety shot and doesn't worry about the double too much. It seems like he got a really good contact on the cue ball, because as long as the blue is going to cover up that dangerous red at the right corner, which, I've said that before in the previous frame, that wasn't the case. And then, of course, Xiaozington was able to take that chance away. Now, can he try and make this one in? He's certainly able to see it. And if he's done that before, he's got a really good long shot success so far. Let's see if he's going to be able to get this one as well. And of course he will be. But now, unfortunately, played that one a little bit too close for the red next to the black. And then it is going to be just 1 point score for now. And very unlikely to go for the black into the corner. Not very unlikely, impossible for him to go for the black into the corner. And no matter how attacking he is going to be, he's going to have to try and play this one safe. He may go for the black into the middle if it's available for him. But of course, the downside of that is going to be the factor of you playing for the reds, which is going to be the same ball that your opponent would need in case you miss the black as well. So no surprise that he's taken the brown. Just carefully pushes the cue ball to be at the top edge of the D. And he will be all the way down for Ding to try and get this one away. And yeah, just carefully placing that cue ball on the right-hand side of the table. Make sure he's going to bounce and away and in behind the yellow. Seemed like he played that one really well there. And Xiaozington, he's going to acknowledge the shot there from Ding as he comes back to the table for one more time. Probably going to have a look at the study of the reds and the right-hand side of the table, because once again, it's one of those where you can take it, but you know, the red next to the black and the risk of trying to leave that red on hasn't really gone away too far there. And Xiaozington, oh, that was certainly a very thin shot that he's played. He's going to have a big bounce on the cue ball as well. And it seems like the first long red was taken there by Xiaozington in the beginning point of this frame. But right now, you could barely call that a long shot because of the cue ball being so close to the baulk line. And right now, that red is going to be quite close to the corner pocket as well. Can Ding try and take it and get himself positioned for the black? Oh, he wasn't playing for the black at all, which could be down to, you know, lack of confidence, but certainly not a lack of accuracy there. Brilliant shot, nicely taken, and look at where he's finished with the cue ball. Absolutely fantastic shot there from Ding. When it comes to the end result, whether he managed to get there by having a lucky kiss on the black doesn't really matter, because the result is what's going to get him on the blue, and now getting a decent opportunity to try and score more than 17 points, which was the best that he's managed in the first frame of the second session. So right now, he will be down to taking a red into the left-hand side of the table. He can try and play for the pink here, which I feel like he'll probably go onto the black ball spot, which is going to be a great advantage for Ding, because he'll basically swap the black and the pink around and try and put the black onto the brown spot as well, with that one being available. And so now, just cannons the red out of the way and make sure he's going to be on the black for now. So just trying to keep it relevant in relation to those spots to be assigned to their colour. Bit of a bad shot though on the black, as he doesn't manage to get a good purchase on the cue ball, and he's going to be slightly down in the red that he's about to take into the corner. He is going to be playing the cue ball into another red, so the position on the black or pink shouldn't be an issue, but it's a factor of you having to cut that red with a bit of a, you know, nasty angle there. He's done that. Ooh, I tell you what, he's pushed one of those good reds away to the top end of the table, and now he's about to have a look to see on what's going to be going on at the top end side of it. Yeah, he's got 15 points on the current break, 14 points is the advantage, about to make that 22 and 21, and he takes the black away. So just trying to get in behind of another red to be taken here, but I'm pretty sure the brown is going to prevent that red from heading into the yellow pocket. So he needs to try and take the red away into the left middle, and just make sure that he plays that cue ball through this shot and gets himself lined up through the baulk cushion, bounces away, gets himself lined up for the top side of a blue, and just carefully, or maybe not so much carefully, just tries to absolutely thrash those reds away from each other, and tries to make sure that he's going to be at least on one of them, which, I mean, he's having a sort of a look towards the other two reds, which you can still play in behind of at the left side cushion, but it will be quite a difficult shot for you to execute, because you'll have to do that from the black ball cushion. The line seems to be good, the pace is going to be good as well, and it's a really good shot there from Ding Jawi. It's a powerful shot, that, because, you know, it gives him in a, it puts him in a position where he probably can choose either one of those two reds. It seems like he's not really going to be too comfortable with the red that he's actually better position for, which is a little bit strange, especially if he's going to try and take the other red away into the corner, because that's not an easy situation for you to be playing a shot like that, and he's missed it. So that's a questionable decision there from Ding Jawi, to say the least, because it could have easily gone for the other red to me. He'd gone past the bunch of reds, and meanwhile sort of made himself to go for a really nasty red there to be taking on, and now just 28 points to be scored. Back to Xiaozington, having those two reds available now to him, as the red that Ding has missed has finished very much over the pocket. So now it's a chance for Xiaozington to try and shine here. Ding will win second session. It could be the case, but he certainly needs to play better shots than the red that he's just taken into the corner. He's missed that one, and now Xiaozington can try and rediscover that position in a single shot that he's played, and that's exactly what he's done. And, well, look at the difference in what he's made to the position, because he had absolutely no reds to play for. Now he's got around 7 of them to be positioned perfectly well, and he's still going to be lined up nicely for the red here. You know, the shot that he needs to play with the spider brings a little bit of bad memories from the previous frame. But right now, it's a lot easier of a cut for him to be taken into the middle, into the left corner, I should say. And now it will be on the black once again. Doesn't want to be straight, but even if he is, just use loads of backspin. Try and make sure you bounce that cue ball away nicely onto the left side. And just bring that cue ball to be lined up nicely for those reds to be played into the left or right corner of the table. I can't really see him playing for a shot into the middle. Although with him being slightly underneath those reds, he still needs to get a bit of a good contact on them. And he seems to have done that well. He's certainly going to have a red next to the pink on the left-hand side of it to be playing into the right corner. He may actually have another red to be taken towards the right corner as well. And yeah, look at that, brilliantly taken there. The red that was on the right-hand side of the pink was taken really nicely there by Xiaozington. And now finds himself only 10 points behind and with a really good opportunity to try and make it. Once again, the frame that counts that punishes that mistake from Ding. And this time around, only doing that from the first chance here. Of course, wasn't quite able to do that with, you know, the first point that he scored, but probably through no fault of his own. Just a little bit unfortunate to be short on the angle on the black. And wasn't able to cut that one into the corner. In the end, just carefully playing for red to be taken into the right middle right now. And get himself through the shot at the left corner of the table. So he certainly will be down to carefully just nudging that red, which, you know, was a couple of minutes ago was on the side cushion. It seemed like he's trying to play for the black, which was a bit of a risky thing to do, but certainly not when you play it with great accuracy there. And Xiaozington is going to be perfectly lined up for the black. He didn't need to be doing, you know, sort of that red any favour in relation to he's going to have plenty of points to try and win the frame without it. But the fact of him doing that may actually put him in a sort of nicer position here in relation to all the other reds. And if you just carefully take that cue ball through the red, make sure he's still going to be on the black, and then he will come down to just carefully playing sort of in behind those reds, get himself lined up nicely for either one of them to be taken into the corner. And from that stage onwards, you should get a great chance of getting that cue ball to be running towards the left-hand side, and now positioning himself for, well, probably for one of the lowest reds, if not the lowest of the 5 of them, to be taken into the corner. As now Ding is going to be looking at this one very nervously, because Xiaozington had a lead only once during this match before the second session has started, and it looks like he's about to win 2 frames on the bounce for the second time in this encounter. But if the previous one was from 2-3 down, this one was from 4 frames each. And of course that will put him with a 2 frame of a cushion for the first time in the match, as he plays another good shot there with the cannon of the cue ball to get one of those reds out of the way and position himself perfectly well for the second to be taken into the right corner of the table. Played this shot for the pink into the left corner, or played for the shot of the blue into the right middle. The decision was made for him, and just carefully taking his blue away towards the right middle of the table again, and getting himself through to a red to be taken at the left-hand side of the table here. So ahead by 24 points, 51 points remaining here. So he needs to try and take 2 more reds away. How many points needed for a frame win? He probably needs 2 more reds there, and then there's no chance that Ding is going to have enough points to try and catch up with him. So I'd say the benchmark is probably going to be something like 65, but he's going to be basically 3 shots away, make that 2, as he takes the first red away. He's going to be positioned with 25 points of an advantage, so 2 more shots needed after the black disappears. So a red and a colour combination, and then he's going to be ahead by more than 35 points. Oh, I mean, he got that cue ball to be way too close to the red. That's a mistake there from Xiaozington. He's not quite done with this one yet. He needs to take 1 more red in the colour. In the end, that's not the case, and yeah, he finds himself in a bit of a difficult position here in relation to the safety shot. I mean, I don't know how he got the cue ball to be so close to the red, whether he was trying to get in behind of it, maybe it's just the angle, or whatever it was. He says that it seems like he's, for now, thrown away a frame win to be a guarantee for him. So he still finds himself in a really good position to try and take this frame away from Ding, but certainly could have been a lot more comfortable had he managed to pot the red in the colour. You know, still would have had a chance to try and make a century break out of it. And right now, it's probably going to be the last thing that he's thinking about and just trying to go for, and ready to be taken towards the yellow pocket. As meanwhile, Hossein Lafay taking that 23 points of a gap in against Watchalong in the second frame, as he now finds himself a frame down. Not too often you see Xiaozington to be taking more than a minute on one of those shots, but this is one of those instances where it is going to be justifiable. And what do you do here? Can he try and just bounce that cue ball in behind the black and make sure that he's got a really good opportunity to place that cue ball into the safe hands? Trying to use one of those colours as well. Of course, he wants to try and put the colour safe, but he's not going to be able to do that. But of course, you know, the previous shot that he's taken, he wasn't trying to be, you know, doing anything with those colours, especially putting them safe, apart from potting them into the corner. And now, I mean, he was thinking about that for long and hard there, Xiaozington, but right now, to me, still seems like he hasn't quite played that shot well enough, and potentially left a chance now for Ding to try and make it. Another opportunity of taking the red away into the yellow pocket, get himself through, and get that cue ball to be running down the table, which will you know, relatively put that cue ball safe in relation to the other two reds. So right now, can he try and take this red away? The answer is no. He got the other red as well, and he seems like he's actually managed to put both of them relatively safe. Certainly the one that he's missed, the one that he cannon, may still be playable there by Xiaozington, but it's one of those cuts which, it's not quite an invisible one, but it's certainly not the one that you'll say is a comfortable shot for you to be taking on. Though Xiaozington probably loves those ones as much as anything else. Ooh, I mean, whatever you do, don't overcut that red. That was a bit of a bad miss there from Xiaozington, because you overcut that one by a bit of an instance as well. But to be fair, you know, the fact of him overcutting got a little bit more pace on the cue ball and allowed him to be blocking off the access to the second red completely. The red that he's missed is still going to be playable there for Jawi. And now he is going to be down to try and take and put that red safe. Probably at the same time, make sure that you got that cue ball to be running up the table and putting himself, you know, in a good position for the safety battle. That's what he's done. Doesn't want to disturb the green, and he hasn't done so. So, yeah, just carefully trying to make sure that he got the cue ball and the red to be separated by the entire length of the table. And now will be Xiaozington to try and do a similar sort of thing here. Trying to take this red away and put it down the table here, as he puts himself 32 points ahead during the previous break of 59 points. Now, is he going to be able to miss the ping? Because if he does, he may still leave a red away, and he has done so. So, not for the first time in the frame, Jawi has got another long shot attempt. One of them was taken beforehand, the other one was missed. What's he going to be on the third time of asking? Can he try and take this red away into the corner of the yellow pocket? Because right now, he still finds himself in a position where 6 colours are playable. If he takes this red away, he basically is going to come down to that last red as the only problem for him. So then, he's gone for that red. He's made it into the yellow pocket. And what's he going to be in relation to the positional play here? Is he going to be on the black? He just about is going to be on the black here, which, I mean, he's straight in the paint, which is not going to be any help to him. And he's probably going to try and take the black away, force that cue ball to be running along the side cushion and closer to that red. I mean, what's he trying to do with the pink here? I'm not sure. He doesn't need to be going for an expensive colour, but he's clearly trying to force this pink into the middle. Oh, it's a really nice technique there. Is he going to have enough pace on the cue ball though? Seems like he's given himself a chance, but it's not going to be too close at the end. Easy win for Zhao this session too. Well, not quite the case right now, because after the opening 2 frames, it could still be a score draw if Ding is able to take 7 more shots away. The first one is going to be the only time where he can go wrong for him. So just trying to take this red away, and was always going to be against the angle there, but he's managed to put that red safe. Although it seems like he's done it. I mean, he's apologised for that contact on the red. Can't quite tell if he's managed to keep that red sort of close enough to the pocket so that Xiaozington can consider going for this red. He's 25 ahead, 35 at the table, so he can't afford to be leaving this red over the pocket. And yeah, in the end, he wasn't even thinking about that one too much, and just trying to carefully take this red away. Make sure he goes past the black in the paint, and it's sort of gone too far a little bit. Ooh, that's a bad shot there from Xiaozington, because whatever he had to do, he certainly didn't have to play that red with so much power, because it's gone past the line of the green, of the black, of the pink and the blue, and now he doesn't have any cover, apart from, of course, Ding Jawi, needing to miss the shot for Xiaozington, but he's not going to miss this one. And where's the cue ball going to finish? He's got a great chance to try and win this frame if he finishes nicely on the green, and he has done so. Well, I'll tell you what, that was a bad shot there from Xiaozington. A really good long pot by Ding Jawi, and right now, he will be down to just 2 more shots to be taken, and then you could really start to say that it is going to be a bit of a blow to the chances of Xiaozington of making this a comfortable session for himself, because the green is taken. So right now, only yellow and the brown are going to be away from that spots, but at the same time, it shouldn't be too much of an issue for those two to be potted, and the remaining 4 colours are all going to be very much on their spots respectively. Now the yellow is taken. It's slightly on the run for the green though, so you may have to just try and get around the brown to make sure that he doesn't play the shot into the middle, but he plays it into the yellow pocket instead. Zhao give chance to Ding. Well, he certainly give a chance to him. Whether he was able to sort of realise his mistake there, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, it seems like it's a great opportunity for Ding to try and take this frame away from Xiaozington. And right now, he only finds himself 16 points behind, whilst having 4 colours of the value of 22 ahead of him. Once again, we've seen that in frame number 8, where he was 62, plays 61. Could it be a very similar scenario now? Although he's overplayed for the blue slightly. Let's see if he's going to try and find a little bit of the angle to try and force that cue ball to be played down the table here. He's sort of done that off the right side and onto the pink. So 2 more shots there, and it will be nothing to separate the players again at 5 frames each. So this break of 31 points could still prove to be a very important turning point if Ding is able to try and find momentum with it, because right now he's going to be on the block, and he usually doesn't miss those. 24 points of the break, make that 31 points of the break, and Ding Jawi takes the 10th frame away. He's going to be taking a bathroom break, and I'll tell you what, he certainly deserves after such a tense frame for him, because it's now going to be 5 frames each in between the Team China. It is Xiaozington 5, Ding Jawi 5, and still nothing to separate the players. Although, as you can see on total points to be scoring, finally we are seeing a little bit of a different story here, because the 9th frame was taken comfortably by Xiaozington, and it looked like the same story was going to happen in the 10th frame as well. That wasn't the case, and now Ding gets himself 1 frame closer to try and take this match very much to distance, and for now, because we're guaranteed to make sure this match goes to the 3rd session anyway, before the 2nd session has even started, because of 4 frames each to be the scoreline. But ultimately, if you go into the 2nd session whilst being sort of 11, 12-4 down, it's not really going to give loads of credibility to your chances. But right now, the worst that either Xiaozington or Ding Jawi can fear for themselves is going to be 11-5 down, which is still a horrible scoreline to be working with. But even at that stage, you will take either Xiaozington or Ding Jawi to try and win 6 frames on the bounce, which, if you've seen anything from the previous 10 frames, is the last thing that you would expect to happen right now. What a steal from Ding. Yeah, it certainly was a great steal from Ding Jawi, but you also have to ask the question, why was that still available? And why Xiaozington hasn't managed to kill the frame away, despite having such a healthy frame lead. Wasn't able to get that job done, trying to play for that red, trying to get around it. Would have been the frame ball, the colour after it as well. He's done that on the black previously in the 1st session against Ding, and right now, an hour into the 2nd session, he still seems to find himself with no advantage at all in relation to it is now being 5 frames each, and still, despite Xiaozington scoring 72 points more than Ding Jawi on the basis of those 10 frames, he still finds himself with exactly the same scoreline of 5 frames each as well. This time around, Ding comes back here, and he's going to be heading straight for the table in relation to having to take a break-off shot now. Make sure that he's going to be aiming that cue ball towards the left-hand side of those reds and trying to get a good purchase on the cue ball. Let's see as the cue ball is going to travel around the reds and around the green as well. He's still left a long shot chance away for Xiaozington, which usually is something that he can't afford to be doing. Because, you know, he's managed to keep 13 reds pretty much in the place where they were before a re-rack. But ultimately, 2 of those that are available, one of them is going to be seen by Xiaozington, and ultimately can always try and turn one of those reds to be available into a great break opportunity for him. So he's certainly going to go for this red. Whether he will make it or not, the answer is no. So he had to miss at least one of those long shots, and it seems like Jawi will go for the same one into the yellow pocket. You know, his one is probably going to be a little bit more difficult because he's got less of the pocket to aim at. And at the same time, he's got, you know, a bit of a different scenario in relation to trying to play for the pink. Probably not going to be possible with how close the other reds are going to be to the pink. So you need to try and do that with the blue or the bold colours. Oh, he's gone for the shot into the middle, and he's played that one really, really well. Now he needs an angle on the yellow to try and keep that cue ball to be pointing in the right direction and make sure that he will be heading towards the second of those available reds, and of course the last one as well, so that he can try and leave himself nicely on the collar. It was a really good shot there from Ding. Both are good players, certainly are, and it's the reason why so far they've been equally as good of a match for each other. Look at that for a shot. Brilliant judgment there from Ding Jawi, and managing to sort of make sure that he was nowhere near the jaws while still giving himself a good angle to try and work with. And a little bit surprised that he's, yeah, I mean, he was taking so much power away from the cue ball that he's going to be so awkwardly placed on the black here. I mean, he has to go for it. He needs to be committed to trying to split the reds away from each other, but surely that's going to be way too awkward in relation to what he could have been. Now he's gone for that black, he's taken it into the pocket, but because of the angle being against him, and he only has himself to blame. The previous shot was the one where the damage was done. He's underplayed for the black badly, and you can see that's the replay they're showing. You know, there was a little brush of another red, which may have slowed the cue ball down enough there to make sure that he wasn't going to be able to have a straightforward cut on the black. And right now, he will come down to having, you know, just basically send that cue ball to the top hand side of the table without a chance to try and do anything else with it. So, he hasn't managed to set the reds away from each other as well as he could have, but at the same time, you know, he could have actually been a good news for him as well, because what if he's not on the red, and then he's got an easy one for Xiaozington to try and leave. At least right now, he felt like if he covers the red next to the left side cushion from the attacking perspective, he probably doesn't have anything else to try and worry about. So just carefully trying to get that cue ball to be running towards the green pocket. I say carefully. So me, that's going to be a little bit too close to the pocket. Ooh, in the end, Ding seemed like he was going to be comfortable walking back to his seat. And then midway through that shot, he sort of stopped and realised he was going to be close to the pocket. He didn't drop in the end. And it's not quite going to be a jaw of a shot there from Xiaozington. He's going to be able to get through to those reds. And yeah, of course, he still needs to try and play a good safety out of it, which so far, in the previous 10 frames, he's not been always able to do. So once again, playing that cue ball carefully towards the green here. Wants to try and get in behind it as well as a bonus. And he seems to have done that with the last sort of piece of effort there from the cue ball. Seems to have landed perfectly in behind the green in relation to the left-hand side of the cue ball to being behind the right-hand side of the green. But that will do the work nicely for Xiaozington, because inevitably, you know, still force Ding Jawi to try and play the shot off the right side cushion, because he hasn't got any other option to try and do anything else with it. Whether he decides to try and play the shot off 2 cushions, make sure that he plays the shot off the right side cushion, bounces the cue ball away from the black ball cushion as well, and tries to catch those reds from underneath. It's going to be an option. Whether it's going to be something that he considers and actually goes for at the end, we'll have to wait and see, I assume. It probably is going to be the logical thing, because you can't be playing the shot of just 1 cushion. It's going to be way too risky for your power judgment, because if you get too much on the pace of the red, then you leave a chance for a potential, you know, just sending those reds across the table too far away from each other, ultimately trying to form up a gap, and it won't be good news to him. And then, of course, if you underplay that shot with not enough power, you're always going to have a chance of just leaving the available reds away for Xiaozington. So let's see what's it going to be now for him. And just trying to carefully take it away into the right side cushion. The pace judgment is nice, but has he left the red into the corner? And the answer is, he has to me. I feel like Xiaozington is going to have a variety of 2 shots available to him. That was always going to be a risk for Ding Jawi. And the problem is, he probably played that shot about as well as he could have. But still, doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Although, that red is going to open up the pocket a little bit too far there, but not in the end. You know, Xiaozington clearly had that one under control and played that red really well. So, once again, 11 points. I'm not going to lead Ding Jawi to anything for now. And Xiaozington can sense, once again, an opportunity, far from being the first time in the match, where he can try and put some real distance in between the 2 players in relation to taking this frame away from Ding, and certainly being the player to try and go for an easy situation with those reds and colours. He's got a position which I wouldn't say is easy, but I would say it's 1 shot away from being easy, because he's got a nice angle on the black to try and maybe make it this shot here. And for now, clearly learn the lesson from the previous frame, where make sure you take all those reds that are available to you before trying to go for anything risky. And he's about to be taking the red into the right middle. Make sure that he's going to be on the top side of a blue. So still getting himself lined up through of the cue ball. Trying to just nudge that one closer to another red. Make sure that he gets a good line here of taking the red into the right corner. And then you'll have a variety of and a choice of the black or the blue to try and go for and play his next positional shot on. It's probably easier to do with the black, to be fair, because, you know, he's going to have a great chance of catching the pink from the blue, which it seems like he's accepted that fate. And, well, of course, the thing about the pink, you can try and use that as a weapon to be on very much your side, but at the same time, if you catch that one a little bit too thin on the edge, sometimes you can have a bad contact with those reds. That's certainly not going to be the case now, and it's a really good shot there by Xiaozington, which he was able to make the most out of. And look at that, he caught the pink perfectly full in the face, and basically used that as a nice little boulder to try and spread out the reds away from each other. And now he's got 16 points of a lead over Ding Jawi, and a really good opportunity to try and play the cue ball for the black after he takes the red away into the left-hand side of the table. So now takes the 17 points of a lead. He's still going to be on the black now, and he's about to try and take a careful shot away on another couple of reds. So just carefully playing the shot onto the right corner. Oh, I mean, has he used too much of that pocket? No, in the end he hasn't. So it's still going to be fine to try and continue the break here. 24 points as the advantage, as he's trying to make sure he leaves that cue ball to be on the ping this time around. Surely because it will allow him to try and play for the red into the corner. As he now is taking 25 points of a lead, while still having 83 at the table. So could easily be the break, which becomes the second biggest of the match. Could even be the break that becomes the highest of the entirety of the match as well. But you have to say, right now, with players struggling to get over the line in the last couple of frames, you do have to just take it on a shot-by-shot basis and make sure you get the position on the collar every single time. Because for now, it certainly seems like it will be pretty much impossible for you to run out of position on the reds. They'll say that to Xiaozington in the previous frame. Probably would have been the same reaction, although that was the case, and with only 2 more shots needing to play for him to have a great chance of winning that frame, getting over the frame wall line. Sort of messed that one up. Didn't get a position on the red, and then, you know, 40 points later for Ding Jawi, he was able to take that frame away from Xiaozington and put it back to all square with 5 frames each. Right now, it will be down to a ping to be taken here into the left-hand side of the table. Can he try and slow the cue ball down enough so that he sort of plays it towards the black ball cushion without getting too close on it, so that he leaves himself with actually too much of the angle of trying to play for the pink or the black? That seems like the decision that he'll have to be taking into consideration right now. But just trying to carefully play the pink away into the left corner. Make sure that cue ball is going to slide off the cushion nicely for him. And get himself through to 45 points of a gap, while still having 67 at the table. So just having a look to see if he's going to be able to get through to the lowest one of those reds. Of course, he wants to try and barge the other one out of the way, but that's going to be a future shot for him. For now, he needs that cue ball to keep running, and he just about has done enough there to make sure that he's still going to be on either black or pink. I feel like the black is going to be slightly easier for him to be taking because it's not too close to the cue ball, but it is closer, and ultimately just allowing the white to try and do the work with the black, make sure that he's still going to be nicely on those reds, and now takes himself into 53 points of a lead, whilst having a break of 64 points that he scores. So now once again, something that he has managed to avoid in the previous frame, he won't be able to avoid right now, is of course going to be the 11 frame win, because he's now taken a frame ball, which straight away puts Ding Jawi needing to find 2 snookers right now, and will be bringing that one all the way to 4 snookers if Xiaozington is able to pot the black as well. So now 65 points of a break for him. So you can still try and take it into the 70s, only for the 3rd time for him in the entirety of the match. And now you can see that brilliant split of the blue into those reds. He could not have played that shot any better. And yeah, he certainly got the outcome that he was looking for as well, because he got so many of those reds to be perfectly placed for him. And now about to take another red nicely into the corner. So surely he's going to be going for a century hunt right now. Just carefully trying to get that cue ball to close out the distance in between another red for him to be taking into the left middle. You can try and lose a couple of points and can still make this the highest break of the entire match there to be made. The 2nd century on the horizon for him as well. We've seen 2 of those. Of course, this has been 2nd from Xiaozington so far. We haven't seen any of those from Ding Jawi, with the breaks of 80 and 81 points being the highest from Ding's point of view. But once again, I mean, it has been a while since Ding has been leading in this match. 4-3, 5-4, and now 6-5. He's certainly going to be the lead for Xiaozington here, which is about to take another black away into the corner, and then the bold colours are going to be the only thing that stops him from making the century break. He can still make a break of 122 points out of this one. So if he takes the yellow and the green, he'll be 100 points exactly, and then the remaining 4 colours could still get it up to 122 points, which will be the 2nd highest century break of Xiaozington's campaign at the World Championship so far, as he's played that green really well, and he's now going to be lined up for the brown to just try and extend this century break even further. But it is going to be number 2 of the match, and it comes under a very important time for him, because he could have easily tried to swing that momentum, and Ding could have easily used that advantage that he had at the end of the 10th frame to try and take it away from Xiaozington. In the end, that's not quite the case, and now this time around Xiaozington won't be missing the pink into the corner, which was something that he's done in the 1st frame of the session. Let's see if he's going to try and a little exhibition on the black. He wasn't trying to, but he still hasn't managed to make it the highest break of the match there. With the black staying out, it will be the break of 115 points, and 115 there at the end, and it will, sorry, apologies for that, I don't know what's happened there. 115 points at the end from Xiaozington as the black stays out of the table, and it will be down to 6-5 of a lead there for Xiaozington. Ding Jawi could have easily won at least 2 of the opening 3 frames, but in the end, that's not the case. And now he finds himself being 6-5 down, whilst Xiaozington certainly managed to take his scoring to a next level. You know, he's managed to score 269 points in those 3 frames. But incredibly, only managed to win 2 out of those 3, as Ding Jawi scores 100 points himself in the opening 3 frames, but still gets himself within 1 frame away of making it all square once again, and being very much on the tiptoes of Xiaozington, as the 2nd frame was taken by Hossein Rafai and his match against Watchalong. So how many games to play for tonight? Should have been 3-0 for Xiaozington this session, honestly. It could have been best of 25, race to 13. Yeah, how many games to play for tonight? It will be down to 6 more frames. No, 5 more frames, I should say. We've played 3 more. It is going to be in the format of 8 frames in the 1st session, 8 frames in the 2nd session, and then the 3rd session could be played up to 9 frames if necessary. So, yeah, it will be down to Xiaozington and Ding Jawi battling out for 5 more frames. And then we'll be seeing on who's going to take the lead, if any of them will take the lead into session number 3. Because for now, the thing that is guaranteed for Ding Jawi is 11-5 of the scoreline in the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario for Xiaozington he's going to be losing 10 frames to 6, which in reality is never going to happen because you won't see Xiaozington to be losing 5 frames on the bounce. Well, to be fair, it could happen, but I feel like you probably will need to see Xiaozington disappear out of his best form, and then Ding Jawi to basically step up to his best game so far in the championship, which I haven't really seen too many glimpses of. He was playing really well in the first session, but once again, as I say, the fact of him not being clinical, it played a bit of a bad joke with him, and now, it's a bit of a close range there in relation to leaving out a red to the right corner. It's exactly what Xiaozington is going to be having a look at. Tell you what, the angle seems to be a little bit misleading there, but if he can't get through to this red, it's going to be a hell of a blunder that from Ding Jawi, and a potential chance for Xiaozington to open up the scoring yet again. The fact that he's going for this red, I mean, it could not mean anything because he could still be heading for another red to be taken. I'm a little bit surprised that he's not taking the spider here, but we'll have to wait and see what he's trying to do. He could easily play a safety shot out of another couple of reds, and that's exactly what he's doing. So Ding clearly had that red, well, in mind there. Not going to say he had that one covered because he was a little bit too close. Although it's a bit too close for comfort there from Xiaozington as well, as he basically barges the brown out of the way, leaves the cue ball to be on the brown spot, and he's left the chance away for Ding Jawi. Once again, you know, the tiptoe and the seesaw of what we've seen in the previous 11 frames seems to continue in frame number 12 again. Just unable to build any sort of real momentum, and when they do, they're still not able to get over the line there, either Xiaozington or Ding Jawi, but that red was taken emphatically well by Ding himself, and if he keeps that cue ball, gets it to keep running, and be on the top side of a blue, it could still try and be on a really good run to try and make some really good points out of this break. For now, he's going to be awkwardly placed here on the blue. And yeah, he's got a really good pot success in relation. Current session long pots at 57%, which is a little bit weird. I was about to say that he's got around 75% or something, because I can't really think of the shots that he's missed with a long range. Anyway, certainly managed to make 2 really good ones at the end of the previous frame, and then of course the starting points of this one as well. So now he's still going to be quite awkwardly placed with the rest shot, but at least he gave himself a chance. And if he goes for this red down to the corner, surely he's going to try and play for the black now. Although I'm not sure he's going to have the angle. He should have the angle to just try and drop the cue ball closer to the black, because there's not going to be loads of a value in trying to play for the blue there, because once again, you need to play a type of a shot that Zhao has played in the previous frame, but that one had, you know, a few different variables. This is going to be close. Is the red going to stay at the table? It will. Well, it's a bit of a... It was a difficult shot there by Ding Jawi, but you still would expect that red to disappear at the left-hand side of the table. And now, Xiaozington is going to appear at the table and potentially try and take control of this particular frame. He's going to be looking to try and get the position on the black here to be sorted out for him. So just carefully trying to play that cue ball off into the left side. Make sure he's going to have a good position here on the black to be taken into the corner. And yeah, it could still be a very different case scenario now for this black to be taken into the right corner. Then he can try and get a couple of more of those reds to be out of the way. That's what he's done. And he's still left both of them to be available. Really nice shot there, and really important for Xiaozington to try and keep as many of those reds available for himself as he can. Seems to have done that quite well. And now just having a look to see on what is he going to have as the opportunity to try and take this frame away from Ding Jawi, and potentially a single visit to the table as well. Because right now, it seems like it will come down to just the damage limitation from Ding Jawi. Because, you know, if he's going to be losing the first mini session by 3 frames to 1, it could still be the beginning of the potential end for him. But for now, I wouldn't get too panicky about it, because he can't do anything now. You know, his hand is missing to the corner. Now you leave it down to Xiaozington to make his mistake, which could happen. Potentially could be heading sort of without any mistakes as well. But for now, he's still down to play 2 more loose reds at least. Let's see if he's going to be able to keep 1 more loose red at the available place for him. He wasn't, but probably was down to push that one closer to the bunch every single time there that he was about to play that red. So then 32 points that he can score with 2 more raids, well, with 1 more raid and 1 more black combination to be taking, as he's about to try and get himself positioned probably pretty much alongside the black. That will do him nicely in relation to the other raids to try and spread them across the table. I mean, he's not necessarily the best at trying to split those reds away from the black. He's usually tries to do that from the blue, even better in his case scenario. But now, what's going to be able to do, the surface of the 3 lowest reds is going to be quite flat for him, which you can try and easily get lost of the cue ball, or he just tried to play that one through it, and he's unlucky. He's really unlucky there, you know, Xiaozington, and he will be down to trying to do it another time. It's a break of 25 points, but as you can imagine, he got one of those reds to disappear alongside the black. The black has gone into the left corner, the red has gone into the right middle, and now it will be down to Jawi having such a good chance to try and punish Xiaozington for, well, not really making a mistake, but just being unfortunate with the previous shot that he's played. Wants to keep that cue to be running as long as he's going to be on the top side of a blue, and he's played that one absolutely perfectly well. Was always going to have a bit of a mystery in relation to which colour for him to choose. Seems to have chosen the blue quite well, and now just carefully trying to take this one away into the right middle. Make sure that he plays that cue ball through the shot of the blue, and he's still going to be lined up for the red to be taken into the left middle. So now 6 points as a difference. Let's see on what he's going to be able to achieve out of the next shot of the red, because if he tries to play this one into the middle, he probably is going to be taking that cue ball towards the pink and the black here. Although he's clearly committed to be taking the shot with a pink. You know, he doesn't want to be on the lower side of the pink though. Ideally, he wants to be perfectly straight so that he keeps that cue ball to be in the position of the pink. And maybe even take that pink spot away from it. Or he's tried to hammer that shot away. And he seems to have played such a good shot there from Jawi's point of view. And look at that. With no angle at all on the pink. It was risky in relation to having, you know, the possibility of missing the pink into the middle. He's played that shot about as well as he could have. And right now, it will be down to pack split success of 100% there from Ding. And surely this frame is about to disappear from Xiaozington's point as well. Could have easily been such a different picture there. And 7-5 frames of a lead for Zhao could have been such a good lead there to be taken into the 4 remaining frames of the second session. Right now, it's not quite going to be the case, and Ding is going to have a decent opportunity to try and finish off what he started so well here. We're trying to spread those reds away from each other, getting that cue ball through to the black for one more time. And yeah, he finds himself into 2 points of a lead. So if he scores 40 more points, he's certainly going to leave no chance away for Xiaozington to come back to the table. And that tendency of not seeing any one of those 2 players take more than a 1 frame of a lead so far is going to stay with us for a bit. Because you can see no matter how many of those previous frames have been won, every single time, whoever finds himself behind that, he's always able to come back, and whoever finds himself in the lead is just not able to extend that lead down to anything more than just a single frame advantage. So then Ding is going to have a decent opportunity to try and play the black away into the corner. He wants to try and keep that cue ball away from the red on the side cushion so that he doesn't sort of compromise himself on the exit. And puts the cue ball to be too close to the side cushion, which can still impact the next shot badly for you. So for now, just trying to carefully make sure he's got that cue ball to be on the strings in between one cushion and the other. It's always trying to do that off the bounce, which, to be fair, as much as it brings the cue ball closer to the black, and you always have to be careful of playing shots like that. You know, as long as you don't sort of put yourself too far away or too close away to the black, you should still have a really good control over what you're doing. And as I said, he was going to be down to scoring 40 points from that split of a really good shot that he's played from the pink, trying to get those reds all to be in great availability for him. Now playing a shot for the blue here, which he has overrun for, to try and make it 43 points of a break. So technically going for a chance for a century himself, but of course down to Ding, it is going to be down to just looking to try and win this frame away. Well, he needs that's an interesting short selection there from Jawi, because I don't really understand what he was trying to achieve there. But you can forget about the century break here, because he's about to run himself out of position. I mean, the previous shot that he's played, which left him so awkwardly placed from the blue, you still felt like he was going to be able to recover from that. But the answer seems like that he wasn't able to do so. And unless he goes for that risky red into the corner, which surely he's not going to be able to do that, then he's got such a bad opportunity of leaving a chance away for Xiaozington, which the Cyclone surely wouldn't waste at that stage. So if he goes for this red now into the corner, it's going to leave no insurance for him to try and take that 31 points advantage, which will be absolutely pointless for him if he's not able to take 15 more points away from his opponent. As he's still looking for a potential chance to try and do something with this red. Is he going to try and play this one into the corner? It's going to be such a risky shot for you to play. And yeah, he seems to have thought about it. And once again, he decides against it for now. Shot time, more than a minute for Ding Jawi. And it seems like last second, he swapped his choice selection. And he's just going to try and, make a cross double out of it. Make sure he gets that cue to be running towards the bowl cushion. And he's played that one really well. Because even though he has left a potential chance away for Xiaozington to be heading for a little cross double of his own, it shouldn't really be a very important factor for him. Because if you look at the position of those reds, the one that he can try and bring into the open play is probably going to be the only point where he can go wrong there for his total clearance if he is to be getting a first chance. And he sort of switched that side cushion from the left to the right hand side of the table there. And now that red is still going to be available. Well, probably the red next to the pink is going to be a better option there for Ding Jawi to try and take into the corner. Ding Sure win. Well, listen, in relation to this frame, probably I have to agree with you, but it only comes down to getting that first chance in. And then apart from the brown, I wouldn't really say there's a problem there, which is going to be an imminent threat for, Ding Jawi or Xiaozington in their way of the clearance. Of course, Ding doesn't need the brown. He only needs 2 more reds to be taken, and then it will be down to 6 frames each after the intermission. For now, he seems to have thought long and hard about this one. Of course, the thing that Ding will know is that if he tries to go for something a little bit reckless, he goes for that red into the corner. He's not played that shot particularly well, let's imagine. And then he's left there a long shot opportunity for Xiaozington there. The Cyclone can easily take that one away and make sure that he has left himself with a decent chance to try and take this frame away from Ding Jawi. It's a very interesting short selection there from Ding because, he's sort of trying to put that red next to the black away towards the right side cushion. He hasn't played that shot too well in relation to the red or the cue ball. And now, it's very interesting to see if Xiaozington will try and go for that red into the green pocket because he can easily try and get around the situation with the reds, try and play for the black, and still get himself lined up with a sort of a reasonable position there of a safety. This looks good. In behind the brown that he's played, this looks better than good. This is absolutely perfect shot there. The shot of the tournament by a country mile from Xiaozington in a position where he found himself in the previous time. You were thinking about a potential chance of a double or a long red into the green pocket. But, well, listen, I would be lying if I told you I was even thinking about that shot for a second. But how good was that to get that cue ball into such a tight gap in between the brown and the pocket? And right now, well, surely that puts him into the position of being the favourite because he actually gives a little nudge to the brown as well. He's not going to have too many of those reds to be close to any cushion there at all, Ding Jawi, which puts him into such a difficult position there to try and do anything with the situation of those reds. And he's going to have to try and do it off the left side because it's the only cushion that he actually can do something with. So what's he going to be? Is he going to try and just get in behind of the reds on the left-hand side? It was close. It was really, really close. But let's see if Xiaozington will feel like he can try and just drop that red in to the right middle with no pace at all. Because if he can, well, the previous shot may have just won him the frame. For now, he hasn't because he's about to ask Ding Jawi to try and take a second attempt of getting out of that snooker situation. So, Yeah, he will just be down to a chance away for Xiaozington as he gets himself through to another little opportunity here. 51 points at the table, 27 right now being the difference, and the turn will go back to Ding Zhuohui here. So just trying to carefully take that cue ball through the right side cushion. The line seems to be a lot better. Is he going to have the pace? He will. Now does the same red pot into the left corner of the table, because it will be quite difficult for Zhao to avoid a push shot through this one. But if he gets himself through with an opportunity, as I say, he's managed to force that brown away from the cushion. Is he going to be able to pot this red away? He has. It's a good shot there from Xiaozington. Ding is very unfortunate to have left such a straight line of a shot to be taken into the left corner. But right now, he will be down to taking this red away carefully into the left-hand side of the table. And 26 points right now is going to be the difference in between Xiaozington and Ding Zhuohui as well. So it's very interesting to sort of realise on what can you actually make here out of this position without, taking that fantastic snooker into the consideration. But right now, with him being on the lower side of the blue, it doesn't really matter because he's able to find such a good positional shot on the next red as well. And now 21 points being the difference. He's got a fantastic opportunity to try and punish Ding Zhuohui for not being clinical yet again in this encounter. It won't be the first time, it won't be the second or third time that we've seen Ding Zhuohui to waste an opportunity to try, to win the frame away. Yes, he's managed to do the same thing with Xiaozington as well, but at the end point, it does look like Xiaozington will find himself 7 points in between himself and winning this frame, and of course making it the first player in this encounter to try and take 2 or more frames of a deficit. Of course, he will come down to that brown because he will need the transition from the brown to the blue. But if there is going to be one player that is able to execute that transition without any sort of problems for himself, that surely is going to be Xiaozington. So he's got 19 points with his blue. He's going to be heading for a break of 46 points if he makes a total clearance out of this one. But ultimately, it's just going to come down to trying to get close to the brown, make sure he's going to have the angle, whether it's going to be top side or the lower side, to try and use the ball cushion or try and do it without using the cushion at all. Force that cue ball to be heading for the blue and get himself through to a good chance of taking that blue away after the brown. So right now, just taking a really good yellow. The fact that he finds himself in a bit of an awkward spot there to try and take the green doesn't really help his case. But he should just try and drop that cue ball in behind the brown. He's done that. Has he overplayed it? Because of how close he is now going to be to the ball cushion. He's pretty much on the cushion out there. So he leaves him with a little bit too much of the angle, I would actually say, which is incredible with the accuracy that he's played the previous shot. Is he going to be able to roll the brown in? He will be. And he wants to be on the top side of a blue. And being alongside it is going to be just about fine there, because he only needs the pink. And then the frame is going to be his for the taking. Right now, it's a break of 33 points. And can he try and make it a break of 39 points to try and finish off in style and make sure that he will come down to Ding Zhuohui to try and overturn 7-5 frames of a deficit. It won't matter with the black, and Xiaozington wasn't playing for the black at all because he has managed to get the pink into the left side cushion, and right now it will be down to 39 points of a break from Xiaozington to be enough for 7-5 of a lead to be his for the taking. And after all that struggle from Xiaozington, at least he's managed to, at least win one of those mini sessions. He ended up the first one with having a 3-1 of a lead. Right now, it is going to be 7-5 frames of a lead against Ding Zhuohui out there, and he will put him into a relatively comfortable position out of the remaining 4 frames before we get to the bottom of the the second session as well, and he will all come down to the 4 more frames potentially to be played at the third session. It will be down to 9 frames potentially as well, and right now it is 765 points for Xiaozington that he scores. 577 of those for Ding Zhuohui. So there certainly has been a dramatic swing in the recent 4 frames or so, with Xiaozington scoring around 340 and Ding Jawi only responded with 140 of his own. Ball spotted, 217 for Xiaozington, 169 for Ding Jawi. Pot success, 92%, down to 91, 65 to 46, 78 to 74 was a safety success as well. All of them to be in favour of Xiaozington as well. Zhao win 13-9. It could still be the case. I feel like we're finally seeing a bit of a struggle there at the end from Ding Jawi. He's not able to get himself through over the finish line. And right now, Xiaozington is clearly going to be in a punishing mood there for him to try and take this one away from Ding Jawi. And he still finds himself in a really comfortable position of trying to take this one away, as the odds for him to be the match winner are going to be down to 1.11 and 6.5 for Ding Jawi to be doing the same thing. Come on, Ding. Yeah, he'll have to try and come back now because he's got 4 more frames to make sure that he still finds himself in a reasonable position of trying to win this encounter. Of course, he's not going to be able to do that in the the second session, and if anything, you'll absolutely snap your hand off for an 8-all draw. Technically, you could always say, if he wins 4 more frames, he could still find himself being in the lead of 9 frames to 7. I say forget about it, wake up and smell the coffee. You're not really going to be able to see Xiaozington to slip away from playing some really good snooker down to losing 4 frames on a bounce, especially when the only consistent thing about this match has been the inconsistency of Ding Jawi so far. Probably could say the same about Xiaozington, but especially when it comes to, being 3-2 down, now finds himself sort of 7-5 ahead. Zhao starting tournament right now, and Zhao coming strong, who else is playing great. I think Selby and Ronnie, but Selby and Ronnie have only played 1 match so far. Ronnie's about to play against Higgins. First session in the evening today. Make sure you tune in for that one, by the way. But I feel like the real test for both Selby and Ronnie will come down to John Higgins and Weezer, because the opposition in the second round doesn't really get any tougher than that. So you need to make sure you're going to be bringing your A game to the table. And if they do, they still get a great chance of trying to play against Judd Trump in Mark Selby's case. If, Trump doesn't seem like he's struggling too much against Hussein right now, as he's taken a 2-1 of a lead already. He's 47 clear of 1. And he's going to have he's the one currently at the table as well. So Hussein does seem like he's about to go 3-1 down for the second time in this tournament. But of course, Trump will be aware of what happened to Jawi after he was leading by 3 frames to 1. He's lost 9 frames on the bounce and allowed Hussein to be progressing through to the round 2 without having to sort of dig in really deep out there. So we're now going to be 1.5 hours down onto the first 4 frames to be played. Hi there, hello Letitia. Zhao 13 frames to 8. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. Zhao starting tournament slow. It will come down to what he's going to be able to do here, because if he does outperform Ding Jawi here, and he does it especially in the second session, because you feel like the third session is surely going to be based on what happens in the session number 2, as Trump plays a really good shot there, utilises his Q power really well, manages to bring the black away from the right side cushion into the open play. So now he leads by 52 points. He's got the black to try and take into the right corner. I mean, I'm not sure he's having a look to see if there is going to be a gap to try and see the red in between the other 4, which surely will be a frame ball for him at that stage, because he will limit the reds available at the table down to 59 and take it as 60 points of a difference. Trump can always try and go for another red to be taken into the middle. And at that stage, once again, it will come down to just taking that colour away and make sure that Hussein won't have any reason to come back to the table. And Judd himself can still try and make a reasonable break out of this one, because right now he's looking at the break of 32 points. So even though he's not going to be able to make a century out of it, he's still got a really good opportunity to try and, make a frame win out of it, as he will. As he takes that red away into the left middle, so it will be Judd Trump to take a 3-1 lead against Hussein Vafai. As, by the way, who we've got on the schedule for the evening session? I know we've got John Higgins against Ronnie O'Sullivan. I'm pretty sure he will be Selby against Weezer to be playing alongside us as well. Let's have a look. As Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters has been announced, he will be mutually agreed not to proceed with future editions of the World Pool Championship and the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters. Wow, that is interesting. That is interesting, you know. Don't know why that is the case. Has been mutually agreed not to proceed with future editions of the World Pool Championship and the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters. So the Saudi clearly decided that it's not going to be worth, or WPBSA decided to do that, but it's not going to be worth to continue the Saudi Arabia Masters. Well, that's going to be a blow to Trump. That's going to be a blow to both Trump and Robertson because they've got 500,000 worth of ranking points to defend, and they will lose those no matter what. That's going to be a problem for them. Problem for Ronnie as well. For Ronnie and Williams, because they would have made it into the final. I mean, I'm really surprised to see that because, you know, it's sort of gone from the honeymoon straight to the sort of divorce there because it seemed like the WSD was really happy with what was going on in Saudi, and now apparently they decided not to be continuing sort of beyond this point, which to be fair, I mean, I wasn't against the Snooker Masters. One thing I will say about this one is it is a little bit of a shock, but I'm really glad that the whole thing of, you know, Saudi joining the Triple Crown events and being pretty much alongside them is going to be an absolute joke, by the way, because it's got no integrity, it's got no history, and just because it brings money to it, which, I mean, as I say, some things are really going to be positive about it, I would say, because the more you think about it, the prize money was ridiculous, that he had pretty much the same prize money as the World Championship. Yes, it's going to be improving in the next season, but still, the ranking points that Trump, Williams, Robertson and O'Sullivan got for it is a joke, because you get 250,000 for making the final, but you only get, you know, sort of 100,000 for winning the tournament in the whole nation series, which prize money, yes, you could sort of say, do what you want, but ranking points surely has to be a little bit more reasonable than that. And yeah, so it's only going to be a very interesting scoreline to be seeing out there, because right now it will come down to a different story here, because, well, as a surprise, but as I say, I'm certain that it will bring more positives than it will bring negatives to it, because advantage to Zhigton it certainly is, but I'm still trying to see any updates on the World Snooker Tour over Saudi Arabia, because they've got the website to be done in a bit of a weird fashion out there. So they've got the Q score to be starting. You know, Selby is relieved to end his crucible losing streak. See Jawi as the first seed to fall, as Buffet is going to shine. And traffic disruption in Sheffield on Saturday. It's not going to be relevant to me. And yeah, well, listen, whatever it is, let's have a look at the statement. Following constructive discussions between the Saudi Billiard and Snooker Federation at Matchroom, following the conclusion of the 2025 edition, it has been mutually agreed not to proceed with future editions of the World Pool Championship and the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters. So let me just dump that in the chat. Let's see if it likes it. No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Let's see if I just can try and do this. There we go. So you can read that for yourself, and you can also find that on the website, but it is quite interesting to be seen there. Across 2024 and 2025, the Kingdom successfully staged two major events in Riyadh and Jeddah, welcoming world champions and providing 18 Saudi players with the opportunity to compete on the same stage. Thousands of spectators attending from nearly 40 countries, which many experiencing elite live snooker and pool for the first time. During this period, Saudi juniors also progressed through international events, including World 9-Ball Tour competitions, Q Tour Middle East, and Asian Junior Championships, important early steps onto the global stage. We extend our sincere thanks to all players, officials, and participants for their contribution to the success of these events. There's not a lot more for me to say, but I'll be honest with you, it seemed like they had an argument over money, if I'm being brutally honest with you. Let's have a look if there's going to be any more sort of articles to be made. Saudi snooker terminated. Let's have a look. Saudi's a problem. Saudi could be axed by, let's have a look. Barry Hearn is not happy. Saudi is a problem. Snooker could be axed by big spending nation during terribly difficult times, says Barry Hearn. It's going to be interesting, but to me that just screams they haven't paid us enough. The latter event introduced a golden ball gimmick, which saw stars offered a 750k bonus if they could complete this 167 break, which I thought was a joke. Major domino is expected to fall is now Saudi backing later this season. We don't know whether that problem is going to lead, but we've got good influence there, particularly through the boxing and all the other sports that we do, so we will be fine. Can't interfere with what's going on at the moment. This is a terribly difficult time for the Middle East with the conflict, of course. Saudi, whether we're talking live sport or whether we're talking other Olympic sport, are looking to cut back, which is fine, providing we've got other places to go, which we do. So on the other hand, we're looking at Saudi and saying, yes, there will be snooker in Saudi, but in fairness, I can't tell you what exactly at the moment until this problem changes. What I do know in the meantime is that we are going to be talking about a new event in China, as we have seen announcement of the China Open, when we'll be talking about another new event in the Middle East. So on the law of averages, win some, lose some, but that's life. Saudi Arabia has been discussed as a potential new home for the World Snooker Championship. Forget about that. It's not going to happen. That prospect was left out as the Crucible agreed a deal to keep the hosting of the prestigious event to at least 2045. A new tournament in Qatar for next season has been discussed by snooker chiefs, but no agreement has been finalised. Hearn said of Qatari interest last month, it's been on the card for 2 years. These people don't rush, do they? Yes, we've had a deal in place. The Qataris own 13% of Matchroom through Pitch, the British company. So yeah, it does, like, the more you read through it, you feel like they're trying to sort of say Saudi's looking to cut back on the sport. But I haven't really heard anything like that in the world of football, in the world of boxing, in the world of other sports. So, yeah, it will be down to this. So, it's an interesting statement there, which I genuinely thought the Saudis going to try and bring more tournaments. And now they scrap the 2 tournaments they have. But by the way, I mean, let's talk about the positives of this, because let's start with the good things. For me, the 167 of a break was a joke. I understand the players are going to be promoting it because it's a huge cash bonus for them, but it does take the integrity out of the game. And let's be honest with you, nobody was watching it because it was probably the worst tournament that we were seeing. You know, yes, he had all the best players, but just to compare that to the Masters, by the way, so many deciders, so many great wins, so many great interactions with the crowd. And what you see in Saudi, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 5-2. That's what it was. Saudi Snooker Masters was a little bit different because it did have a longer frame format. It did have everyone competing. It did have ridiculous prize money. But apart from that, yeah, I felt like Trump, by the way, Trump, Robertson, Williams and O'Sullivan are going to be absolutely fuming about it because you know, they're going to lose some serious ranking points over it. And, well, to be fair, Ronnie probably won't care about ranking points, but the other 3 certainly will, because, you know, that will drop them down the rankings, especially Trump, you know, because Robertson has got 12 more months to try and hold on to his 500,000 of ranking points. But Trump and Williams, they're going to be dropping down the order, you know, because this literally is the last event before they're going to have 500 and 250,000 worth of ranking points to defend, because I'm pretty sure even in 2024-25 season, the Saudi was very much the opening ranking event that we were saying. Was that the case? Let's have a look. Was that the case? Champion of Champions, Nanjing, British Open, Saudi Snooker Masters. No, it wasn't. It was one of the opening ones though. And to be fair, I mean, Snooker Masters, it was on the 30th of August. Yes, it pretty much was one of the opening events because we had Xi'an Grand Prix, which is alternative for the China Grand Prix, and then it will be Shanghai Masters, which is not a ranking event. So, yeah, you do have to say Williams and Trump will find themselves in trouble for that. Zhao's temperament, talent and age strength with great emotion control will win Ding experience and calmness in the end, hitting the 24 frame. Yes, that is true, Cecil Joe, because that is a really good point. And I can't really disagree with any of that because you would require Ding to try and have the consistency to try and take this match to a whole new level with the 3rd session. But can he try and last until that point? Because to me, the answer probably will be no. It's difficult for him to try and do that, you know, because if you find yourself in a position where you have to basically try and play your socks off, and then you still find yourself being level on points and level on frames to be won there, it is difficult for you not to lose that composure and lose that focus and just realize that, you know what, I'm going to try and do my best, and then we'll see what's going to happen until sort of the 20th frame, something like that. But even to get to that stage, he's already 2 frames down. It's only going to get worse from him at this stage, because right now Xiaozington will be coming back with really nice move there for him as well, ahead of this final mini session of the second session as well. But right now, even if he was to lose 4 frames on the bounce, I mean, you'd still say he's the favourite to win the whole thing. The bottom line is he won't lose those 4 frames, and Xiaozington is going to surely find himself having a lead. It's just down to which kind of a lead it is going to be down to. Ding is very experimented too. I mean, are you saying he's experienced, or are you saying he likes to experiment? Because I'd say he's not quite as experienced as Xiaozington, but if you talk about him trying to do different stuff there, trying to experiment with new things, I would agree with you on that. But I wouldn't actually say it's a good thing, because the thing that you want against Xiaozington is consistency. Because it's probably one of those things, as by the way, the player's coming back to the table, Ding Jawi's about to take a break-off shot. It's probably one of the only things which Xiaozington hasn't mastered so far, is the consistency, because he could still have a spell of 4 frames where he doesn't pot a ball and his opponent absolutely annihilates him. The problem is you need that opponent to be playing well, and so far Ding hasn't really shown, so much of his particular performance where you could sort of say, yeah, you will be down to Xiaozington to have this match to lose, because at this stage, I feel like it will be very difficult for Ding to try and recover from losing the previous 2 frames. And look at that for the starting point. A really good break-off, and still a fantastic long raid from Xiaozington. It is going to be a massacre if Ding Jawi doesn't manage to find an answer to this one, because we could easily still find ourselves to be in a scoreline of 11 frames to 5, which is not going to be comfortable for Ding Jawi, but it's going to be anything but uncomfortable for Xiaozington, of course, as he finds himself 4 points clear. So many reds available at the starting point as well, so 4 more I would say at least, which will get him through to 30 points or so, and then he's going to have a decent opportunity to try and separate the remaining 10 reds away from each other, as he uses the entirety of the pocket for that particular red. Still going to be lined up on the black there to me, although it's going to be a lot closer in relation to try and get past the other red. Current session pot success is going to be down to 88% for Ding Jawi, 93% for Xiaozington. Safety success is going to be 75% for for Xiaozington, 61% for Ding Jawi, which is dreadful for him. 57% of the long pot success for Ding Jawi, which is an improvement on 33%, but 67% for Xiaozington. So he seems to have got a comfortable lead in pretty much every single aspect of the game out there. One thing is that I have not sure since I last started watching Xiaozington and small sport betting on him. Listen, is that, I get what you're saying there, but I suppose you have to sort of go with the odds, and sometimes the odds are going to be naturally lower. I'm pretty sure if you talk about on a frame-by-frame basis, he certainly has lost a couple of those frames beforehand, but, he's got 3.20 for him to win the entire thing, so I'm not sure if you get the value for the money for the risk that you're taking, but of course, if you win it, you can't be unhappy with this one. He's played a bit of a bad shot there. Of course, you have to try and get that cue ball to be following the path of the black. It hasn't really worked out for him. And now what's he going to be? Just try and take that black carefully into the right part of the table. Is he going to be able to play that cue ball through the shot? He has done that to an extent, but he needed to be on the right-hand side of that red. And in the end, he kind of pushed that one towards the middle. And in the end, it's going to be the end of a break there on just 20 points that he scores. So now 7 frames plays 5, and 20 points of the advantage as well now in favour of Xiaozington. So carefully just try and take and put that cue ball closer to the ball cushion. Make sure he's going to have that red to be quite close to the right side cushion as well. Gives the turn to Ding Jawi right now. Ding needs to make sure that meanwhile Zhao is still not as clinical as we are used to be seeing of him. He still needs to try and utilise those opportunities away from his opponent, because the second where Zhao feels like he's going to be the one to beat, and he feels like he can't miss a red or something, which I mean, that's a horrible shot there from Ding Jawi. He needed to make sure there was no hint of a double kiss, and he hasn't done that. There was a double kiss in between the red and the cue ball. The red has gone towards the left middle, cannon the pink out of the way, and now it will come down to a potential chance here for Xiaozington to try and extend his lead there from 20 points to something bigger than that. Played a bit of a risky shot there in relation to the cue ball being taken, quite close to the green pocket, but at the end of it, still going to have 21 points of a lead. And 2 hours since the match has got underway, seems like he's certainly managed to take control over this one, because 4 frames each, 5 frames each, and now 2.5 frames where it's been pure domination there from Xiaozington. Yes, you could say Ding could have easily won that frame number 12, but the bottom line is he hasn't done that. And now 30 points later in the next frame as well, it will be very much an interesting... Just asking there of Xiaozington to make sure that the noise is not going to be too loud for him and disrupt during his playtime. So now trying to extend his lead to 31 points, trying to go for the black now and trying to get those reds to be available, and he's certainly done that really, really well. Now it will be down to first couple of shots here are not going to be too straightforward for him, but the bottom line is at least he got himself a chance here, and he certainly got a great opportunity to try and take those reds away. Probably into the right corner is going to be a better option for him to go for rather than looking for the red into the middle. But right now, he's about to extend his break of, down to 12 points as he carefully takes the red away into the right corner. He's still going to be on the black, and then he will be down to 39 points as he's looking to try and extend his lead here. So coming back to see where the angle on the black is going to be. It seems like he's got the angle here to try and brush the reds from the right-hand side of it. Let's see if he's going to try and go for that for the time being. Because as much as there is going to be a case to be made there where you want to take 2 more loose reds away, but at the same time, those 2 reds are always going to be there for you. So you might as well try and disrupt the other 7 reds, because you're not going to be able to win the frame in the current visit to the table without needing at least a couple more of those reds. As he now carefully tries to make that cue ball past the other red and gets himself lined up for the black to be taken now into the left corner. So once again getting lower on the white and still not really being too keen on trying to go for the red and trying to split the pack there. Just trying to play the careful game right now, and so far it hasn't worked out too badly for him. It is going to be a break of 27 points, and right now still having a look to try and take this red away into the right corner. Make sure that he's got the line for that cue ball to stay. Lines up for the black. Now it comes down to whether he's got enough of that red that he can see to be taken into the left middle, or he's finally going to have to try and make a Xiaozington special. He hasn't done that. So clearly has gone for that red into the left middle to be taking on, which, I mean, he's clearly taking this one proper seriously, and he's clearly a little bit nervous. And he's not entirely comfortable with the way that this match is going, which is surprising, because to the naked eye, it would come across that he's in firm control of everything that's happening on table number 1. But at the same time, seems like he's about to go for the black to be taken here into the left corner. And is he going to have a chance to try and play around that red? Once again, seems like he doesn't actually want to be heading into the back at all until he's done and finished with his break. Now taking that down to 43 points of a break, 63 points is the advantage. And ultimately, if he gets another red and a black combination, he will not be able to side there for Ding Jawi, and you'll have to find snookers. Yeah, he has gone for the blue here, so it seems like at last he's going to try and make contact with a bunch of reds. But at that point, unless he sort of pots at least one of those reds with alongside the blue, but at that stage, I'm pretty sure, even though he will be a foul, of course, he eliminates 8 points out of the table, and it will come down to a really good shot that he's played, and he should be converted into a century break there at all. Needs 66. Now, he will be down to just, putting that blue and make sure that he's got more of an advantage than points left at the table. So right now, he will be down to 70 points of a lead, 59 at the table. So, Xiaozington is going to take 3 frames on the bounce here. You were talking about the previous couple that he's taken. Ding Jawi still seems like he hasn't really recovered from the the loss in the previous frame. And now it comes down to Xiaozington having such a good skill when it comes to those break building options, and just having a look to see if he's going to be able to have a chance to try and convert this break of 58 points into, once again, a potential of 116 points there. He's had a 115 before, which, you know, at that point he finished the break prematurely. I'm pretty sure he didn't manage to pot the pink and the black. And then he was going for a 1-2-2 today. He didn't manage to take the black into the corner and finished with 115 points. Right now, if he takes the remaining 50 points out of the 50 that he's got available ahead of himself, so that means 2 reds with 2 more blacks as well, and then he's going to be down to a 6 color clearance. He will be potentially making an sort of record equaling for himself here, break in relation to the match, and also it's going to be a 3rd century in just 8 frames that he's won, which is going to be a great achievement for him as well, because he's had 3 centuries, I'm pretty sure, against Liam Highfield in the first round. So if he manages to keep up the pace of those centuries going like this, it could still be a real threat to try and break that centuries record set by himself last season at the Sheffield, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to be able to get anywhere near the record, which includes the qualifiers, as he's about to lose 2 points here. So we could be going for, oh, that's a bad shot on the yellow. So he actually could come down to be finishing up without a century completely, as he makes a break of 87 points right now. So he needs to try and go for a double. Is he going to be able to get it? And he didn't even get too close to that one. So unfortunately, the century will have to come begging out there. But Xiaozington clearly just taking an eye off the pot there at the end. And he will be just a break of 87 points, which still leaves him with 2 more centuries on top of that as well, as it's now going to be Xiaozington to be taking the frame number 13 and get himself through to a gap of 8 frames to 5. He does look good for him, and he also does look decent there for the same buffet, as he's about to come back from the intermission and make sure that he's going to have an early lead against Watchalong. Let's have a look into my streaming account, because once again I want to see what Hossein is going to be doing there, and he seems like he's got a decent red ahead of him, although he's nearly missed that one. I mean, I'm not sure why they're showing the replay for it. Maybe he's just overrun for the blue slightly. By the way, Liverpool are winning, which is great news to me. Probably a little bit too late to try and make it to the top 2. Maybe able to do that with top 3, with Man U and Villa not playing particularly well. But I tell you, he's not playing particularly well. Jawi finds himself in such a problem right now where, you know, 5 frames each all of a sudden has turned into, well, certainly a great advantage now for Xiaozington, because it seems like he can't miss anything. It seems like Jawi can't actually pot anything right now. And it's a very dangerous combination there, because, as I said beforehand, it was always going to come down to one of those frames where, you know, Xiaozington is going to click into the gear, and then Jawi could actually drop himself out of that consistency of being able to keep up with the performance of Xiaozington. Because right now, as he finds himself 3 frames down, it is going to be pretty much winning at least 2 more out of the remaining 3 frames. Unless that's the case, he'll find himself in the world of trouble. And having 10-6 as the best possible scenario there for him. As once again, a decent break-off shot there by Xiaozington. Seems like he's just about going to use the green enough there to make sure that he covers the red next to the right side cushion. So now Ding is going to keep a very close eye on all the reds that he's got available to him. The problem is he doesn't have too many of those available to try and make a decent safety shot from, because the red on the left-hand side, I'm pretty sure he can only see a bit of a fraction of it. So doesn't want that cue ball to be too far away from the red, because he opens up the angle for Xiaozington to try and go for that red to be taken into the corner. Seems like he's just about going to put that red close enough to the cue ball, so that in the end Zhao is going to have to consider to be heading for the red into the green pocket. And yeah, just having a bit of a look to see what's it going to be down for him. You know, just having a look with that cue ball placement, making sure that he can try and still use that green in case, you know, he's going to be worried about the 2 reds on the right-hand side of the table, which right now probably shouldn't be with the way that he's been playing, and especially with the way that the opposition has been playing against him. But it's a bad shot there, and whatever you do, you need to make sure that right now at this stage, of course, being clinical with your chances is going to be a great addition to the 3-frame advantage that he has got already, but ultimately make sure that you don't give away an easy chance for Ding Jawi here, because he still has got a decent pot success, 91%, 169 out of 186. Long pot success 46, 6 out of 13, which is not great. And yeah, is he going to go for a long shot now? No, he's just trying to sort of use the red next to the blue as a decent backup point for him. So he puts the cue ball down to a safe position there, close to the ball cushion. And yeah, when he comes down to Xiaozington, of course, he has got 93% of a pot success, 247 pots out of 267 attempted. A long pot success is 67%, which is not too bad either, 12 out of 18. And then when it comes to rest pot success, 9 out of 10, with, of course, the only rest shot that he's missed was at the starting point of this match, of the second session, I should say, where that black sort of drifted way too far away from, I'm not sure if it was the black, actually, it may have been the red. It was into the left corner, where he needed the extended spider, and just wasn't able to get a good contact on the cue ball. Now, Ding himself is having a bit of a look to see if he's got a chance to try and pot the red into the right corner. It seems like he's just about going to be seeing enough of that red, but can he try and find a little bit of rhythm here, which he certainly will need? The answer is no for the time being, and he needs that cue ball to get past the blue, which he sort of has done, to be fair, and he got fortunate with it. He's brought that cue ball to be perfectly onto the side cushion. So let's see what Xiaozington is going to be able to do here. As it's a bad mistake from Ding, but it seems like he's managed to get away with it to a certain extent. And apart from a risky red that you can take into the corner, into the left-hand side of the table, I can't really see anything else which Xiaozington is going to be able to make a really good contact with. So in the end, just chooses to go for a safety shot and plays it well. You know, plants that cue ball to be close to the ball cushion as he leaves the turn away back to Ding Jawi. So yeah, just looking at the red to be taken here towards the right-hand side of the table. Probably on the right-hand side, I should say. But it's going to be blocked off by the green. This time around, you can't really use the left-hand side as well as you have done before, because there is going to be a red position on for the black ball cushion here, which leaves you down in a bit of a nervy position here for Ding, because you could always try and go for a very thin shot on the edge, but the question is, where are you going to find the corridor to try and get that cue ball down the table is not an issue. It's the problem to try and get it back up there and try and place it beyond the bulk line. 9-7. It could be 9-7 to be fair, but I'm pretty sure it will be a huge win for Ding Jawi if it's going to be 9-7 at the end, or it's a horrible loss on that particular shot. I'm not sure if he's left anything easy away for Xiaozington, but for now, it seems like everything is going against him. But, you know, if Xiaozington was clinical in this match, he could still have been in the contention to try and win this match within the 2 sessions there. Because you could say the same about Ding Jawi. He could have easily found himself ahead had he been, you know, utilising pretty much every single chance that he had. And right now he finds himself 3 frames behind and leaving out a chance away for Xiaozington here. So what can Zhao do here? He's got a bit of a straight red here to be taken into the middle. Or he's played that with a bit too much power at the end. And he will, after all that, give a chance away to Ding Jawi. Yeah, it was one of those shots there where you probably have to say he should not have played it with so much power. Because even though he clearly was trying to be on the top side of a blue, he wasn't really all worth it at the end. And now, just as I said, whatever you do, make sure you don't leave an easy chance away from Ding Jawi. Of course, especially when you haven't got any points to be used at your advantage. So now Ding is going to have to try and, you know, reach over the red to be taken into the corner. Can he try and make it a good break for him as a starting point here for this frame? And he's sort of done that with the position on the pink. Let's see if he's going to be able to make the most out of this break. This one is over. Yeah, I wouldn't say this one just yet. I feel like, you know, you always can recover, especially from being only 3 frames down. You know, the red for Xiaozington could have been a potential chance for him to be on his way, to be taking a 4 frame of a lead. But right now, Ding finds himself in a really good position here to try and make the most out of this particular break. Although I've said that beforehand, and he wasn't always able to utilise those chances there. So yeah, for now it seems like he's got 3 or 4 reds for the time being to try and work his way through. And then starting at this stage, he may have a decent opportunity to try and build this lead away and make sure that he will come down to Xiaozington to be coming back to the table to, at least sort of 50 points or so for him to try and climb his way back from. As it stands, Ding is going to have the pink only to be available into the right corner. The black is going to be available for him into both the left and the right hand side of the table, but still needs to be very careful when it comes to those positional shots that he plays, as he's now going to be on that break of 15 points there. So trying to go for the red to be taken into the left corner. Ooh, has he played this one too close to the black? He's going to be awkwardly positioned there, but he could still try and take this one away there. It's probably not the best thing for you to be left with, especially when you've not been playing so well in the last 3 frames or so, but this black can be taken. It's just the problem is you always limit yourself down to not having great control over what's going to happen on the snooker table when it comes to those reds. But he seems to have played this shot about as well as he could have there, Ding. So 23 points is the lead. And now he's going to come down to Xiaozington probably being disappointed that he's left his chance on the table there for Ding Jawi. And now 23 points later, it is early days in this frame, but you probably have to say Ding Jawi has got a great opportunity to try and make this break the one that counts. Although, once again, trying to use the entirety of that middle pocket. Clearly trying to aim for the pink here, which still is going to massively matter in relation to where the pink is going to go. Whether it's going to return back on its own spot. Because, Ding is now going to be a little bit too straight on this red that he's looking to play into the right middle. So he's now having a look to see if he's got another red to be potentially taken here into the right-hand side, which the answer probably is going to be negative for the time being. As once again, apologies, but now it's got the stream back up and running again. But yeah, the problem that Ding Jawi has got ahead of himself right now is that he can't afford to make a mistake, because we've seen that beforehand where he will genuinely come down to just have clinical stride there of Xiaozington, where he gets himself a half a chance and he's still going to be able to convert it into a frame winning opportunity out there. Because for now, 37 points of a lead is going to be a good lead there for him to take. But let's see if he's going to be good enough to try and force Xiaozington to be the one playing a very nervy snooker at the end point of this one. He's going to be slightly too far away from the black as well, which doesn't help too much. But he still gets himself in a position where he can try and take this black away. He'll find himself lined up on the red no matter what happens, because he's still got a variety of 2 of those to be taken. And he's played this shot just about well enough so that he's going to leave himself with the red to be taken towards the left middle. And for the time being, it certainly does seem like he's not going to have too many struggles there. And finally, we are seeing a bit of a confident shot there to be taken from Ding Jawi. He's played that red with so much power into the left middle. Still going to be lined up nicely for the black as well. And now, 46 points of a lead, 91 at the table. What does this come down to? It probably does come down to the factor of Ding Jawi not being, too good with getting over the line. Probably is going to be the only thing that can stop him. But I'll tell you what, 10-6. Even if he is to lose the remaining 2 frames, of course, if he's able to win this frame, it's going to be still a decent scoreline for Ding to try and put it a little bit of a battle at the end point of the 3rd session. So for now, he's about to be aiming towards the 4th highest break of the match for himself. Remember, he hasn't made a century break beforehand, and now he's at 54 points exactly. So he's looking nicely here to try and take the black into the corner. Make sure that he's going to be clinical with those opportunities there. He hasn't been doing that so far, but now, as he makes only his 4th break of 60 plus points, he's going to be 2 reds away from making it an 8-6 of a scoreline and still make a real game out of it, to be fair, especially if he's able to win at least 1 more out of the remaining 2 frames before 2nd session will eventually end. He's looking to try and play another good red here after he takes the black comfortably into the right corner, and just having 1 more look to see if he's got an opportunity to try and go for the red into the corner. Seems like it probably will be the case, Although you probably have to say the same about the previous things that we have seen. And it is going to be a bit of a different case scenario when it comes to just trying to find the missing 2 reds there. So 69 points clear. Can he try and just get this red in as well? Oh, he's missed that one, you know. And yeah, he's still going to be in a very comfortable position to try and get over the line. But he's not quite there yet. And he needs to try and consider that when it comes to the remaining things of just trying to score a little bit more of those points. As by the way, Trump is still looking to try and get himself back into the rhythm of having more than 1 frame as a gap to Hossein Mafei. So yeah, for now it doesn't seem like he's too close to that one, as he's 7 points clear. And 69 points is the gap for Ding Jawi. So wasn't able to convert that into a 1 frame visit to the table and able to win that one without any issues. But at the end point, you still have to say you can't really see him losing this frame unless he goes for something reckless, which to be fair is something that he's gone for right now. Remember, Xiaozington needs to try and maximize the points that he scores out of those reds. So let's see what's it going to be there for him. 69 points behind. So he can try and lose a couple of those points at the starting point of it because, you know, remember, he'll have the biggest 2 issues for him, apart from, of course, getting in with a chance. 2 reds on the black ball cushion to be very close to each other, compromising each other as well, as he now takes this red away really well into the corner. And in fact, he's going to have 3 of those reds to be by the left corner. So yeah, Ding wasn't quite able to get himself through and over the finish line. So we'll have to wait and see if Xiaozington is indeed going to be able to punish him for that mistake, as he still finds himself 62 points down with 67 at the table. Surely he couldn't find another incredible comeback. I know he's been struggling there, Ding, to try and get himself through over the finish line, but right now you certainly feel like he's got a really good opportunity to try and make this break, the one that counts for him. He wasn't able to do that. And now Xiaozington, he's got 3 reds so close to each other. Oh, he's managed to make all of them to be in the open play. But unfortunately for Xiaozington, he's not going to be lined up on either one of those 4. And in fact, he's going to have a really difficult journey to try and bring that cue ball to be safe. I mean, well, if he's on the red right now, he probably wins the frame from this visit, even though he's put one of those reds to be on the side cushion. But so unfortunate for him. And now just having to find a safety shot out of one of those reds. Of course, had to make sure at least he used that as a chance to bring the red away from the side cushion. And he sort of put both of them away from the right middle. Enough there, just about, I would say. Still finds himself 54 points behind with 59 at the table. So that certainly doesn't look too bad for him right now, as he doesn't for Trump, as he's still looking to try and extend his 36 points of a gap in relation to Hossein Mafei. And very similar odds, by the way, for Xiaozington to be the winner of this particular match against Ding Jawi. And then Trump in his encounter against Hossein Mafei, as Ding plays a nice shot there in relation to the cue ball. Not so much in relation to those reds. He had put one of them to be over the yellow pocket, but it actually seems like he's managed to find himself in a position where he will be down to just a chance for Xiaozington. Oh, it's a bad shot there from Trump, but I'm not sure what Hossein can see there. Unforced errors, already 11 there from Trump. Only 6 so far from Hossein. Let's see if he can try and cut this red into the middle. Yeah, he needs to go for an attacking option there, Hossein, as well as Xiaozington, you feel like, but neither of them seems to have got anything easier ahead of themselves. So when it comes to just those moments, these are the ones that define a player at the Crucible. Are you going to crumble under pressure, or are you going to be the one to try and inflict the pressure on your opponent? He's gone for that red. He's caught that one really well. Let's see where the cue ball's going to finish. He probably deserves a little bit of luck. The question is he going to get it? And the answer is, of course he will. That's a really nice shot there from Hossein. And after what he's done in the previous frame, can he try and make another one of those incredible comebacks against Trump? Because I tell you what, he's certainly going to be in there with a great shout. As Xiaozington, in the end, does find a decent safety there, puts the cue ball to be at the top-hand side of the ball cushion. But ultimately, is that going to be enough there to try and keep the Dragon away from trying to pot those reds? I mean, he's certainly covered up the most dangerous ones away. So it does come across as probably a decent opportunity now for Ding to try and just put that cue ball in behind the yellow, make sure that he won't be trying to cover up any more of those. And once again, 54 points separate the players, 59 at the table. Xiaozington is technically in there with a chance, but the more shots like that Jawi is going to play, the more difficulty will come down to for Xiaozington to try and make it. 9 frames over 5 for an advantage. Meanwhile, Vafei is trying to make the most out of the chance that gets presented to him. And the odds for them to be winning the frame probably going to be very even and slightly in favour of Hussein there, to be precise. As Trump wasn't able to take his chance away, and now it's a chance for Hussein to try and do the same sort of thing there. And it's a good shot there from Ding, and Zhao has clearly gone for kill there. And it may still turn out to be the wrong decision, and he has turned out to be the wrong decision. He has missed that red, and he's left it not quite over the middle, but I would expect Jawi to be taking this one without further complications. So once again, what's it going to be down to in those two respective matches? Because you feel like both Hussein and Ding here do need those frames desperately well. Hussein needs to try and sort of keep record of Trump. He was 3-1 down as he was against Jawi. He's managed to win the 5th frame despite Trump having that comfortable point of a lead. And right now, he doesn't want to be straight on this black there, Hussein. Ding has basically managed to win his frame as he now takes the red and the blue combination. So he will come down to the other table where all the magic is going to happen. So let's see if Hussein is going to be able to try and do something with it. But for now, let's focus on the break from Jawi here, as he's going to try and put the black into the corner. He's still got 43 points now, which is not going to be able to make the 4th highest break of the encounter for himself, but still try and get those points to be scored. Try and get himself into a rhythm before the final frame of not the final frame, but the final 2 frames of the session to be played there. Still loads of chances for him to try and close that gap down to a minimum. Of course, he could still incredibly find himself being with a draw after 16 frames to be played. And right now, Xiaozington will concede after a mistake on the black. Brings the break down to just 15 points out there from Jawi, but still finds himself in a real battle to try and make a game out of the 3rd session ultimately, because he's not going to be able to challenge Jawi at this particular frame. And he seems to have done that really, really well. And when it comes down to the opportunities being taken, and well, let's have a switch to the other table. Hossein Vafei is going to have a decent opportunity to try and punish Watchalong for that mistake, and ultimately be the player that comes out on top in frame number 6 as well. But now it seems like he still finds himself in a little bit of trouble, just to realise on what he's going to be dealing and coming through there. Because he's still going to have a couple of difficult reds to try and make his way through. He's got an 8 points of a lead, but you still feel like he's probably going to need every single one of those reds to be taken. Probably the last one can go without the colour. But yeah, he says that he needs to be very precise with his short selection, which so far, as you can see with the previous 2 frames, he says that he has done that. Let's play this shot with a little bit of the wrong hand side there. Let's see if he's got the angle to try and play this thread into the corner whilst dropping the cue ball to be on the black. Seems like he's going to have the ability for that, but still needs some great accuracy on that particular shot. And, I mean, he's committed to try and do it off the blue, which is surprising to me, because surely he needs to try and use the side cushion for it. I mean, unless he just tries to bring the cue ball on the right-hand side of the red and just leave himself with a little bit of the angle to try and force it down for the black. I mean, he's not really making this life too easy for himself, but ultimately the damage was done on the previous shot. Let's see if he can try and recover. And the answer is he can, for the time being. And once again, wants to be on the top side of a black, trying to do the maths here, and he's not going to be happy with the way that he is going to be lined up for the black here. So 23 points as the lead. And yeah, they're showing the shot on the blue there, but I'm pretty sure it was done. The damage was done on the previous shot on the black there. So let's see what he can try and achieve with this particular shot. Is he going to just try and stun the cue ball in behind the black, plays if he needs a snooker. So 30 points is the lead for Hussein here, and 35 is at the table. So it does seem like Trump will find himself in a bit of a struggle to try and get out of the 6 frame encounter. In the meanwhile, the next frame is about to begin in between Xiaozington and Jawi. As well, Hussein could have played that shot a little bit better. I mean, he hasn't left that red away to Chon, but certainly left him a chance to be seeing that one away. As Xiaozington takes the red away, and he's going to be lined up for the pink. Brilliant shot there from Zhao. And now, can he try and get back to winning ways there after having a bit of a one-off frame in the previous encounter? Certainly seems like he's got that great ability to try and put those struggles behind him. Let's see if that's going to be the case. As he's going to be lined up for the pink here to try and take into the right middle. And seems to certainly try to use that a lot of the pocket, or a lot of the part of the middle pocket at the end. But gets the good result. And he's still going to be lined up nicely for the red to be taken here into the corner. Just having a bit of a precautious look in relation to the other reds. And of course the way that he needs to be taking those with the collar. And in the meanwhile, it seems like Trump has played his last shot of the frame, with a red being available here to Hussein, that he can try and cut into the yellow pocket and get himself through to a decent chance there to try and batter it till the end point of the session. The red is in, the cue ball is going to stay at the table. And how to watch the live as the website. Yeah, you need to do that on the official website of the WST. Whether you're going to be able to do that or not is going to be up to you. But that's certainly the best way for you to be doing that. It depends on which region you're watching it from, of course, but it should come down to basically just, that being the international streaming platform for you to try and watch the snooker. As once again, Xiaozington finds himself in a position of trying to go for the blue here into the right middle, making sure that he's got loads of spin to be working out for that cue ball as he tries to get closer to the red to be taken into the right part of the table. Let me just try and sort out something here, sorry. And there we go. Stream has gone down, so I'm going to have to try and restart for that one. There we go. Fortunately, the internet connection hasn't been the best friend of mine, so I'm going to have to try and do that with the. Let me just reconnect to you very quickly. Apologies for that. I'm just going to have to restart the OBS as well. I'll be back with you in less than a minute. Yeah, apologies for that really badly. I don't know what happened with the internet connection, but anyway, whatever happened, it was 41 points of a break for Xiaozington. He wasn't able to get further than that. And let me just try and do it with the Reds to be respectful as well. We've got around 100 points here at the table ahead of Ding Jawi, and it was a bit of a, it was a combination of a bad miss and, sort of stuff like that for Xiaozington. So in the end, it's 41 points that he leads Ding Jawi for, and now he's still looking to try and win the remaining couple of frames here to make sure that he's certainly going to be the player that takes a good lead into the third session tomorrow. So for now, it's going to be all down to just the battle of the two players here. Certainly for a chance here and an opportunity to try and take this one away. Whether that will be a chance, you'll have to be down to purely seeing the best of Xiaozington. Whether we are going to see that or not remains to be seen. But for now, it certainly does seem like he's going to have a decent opportunity to try and make a thing out of it. With the refreshed. And the steel stream is not going to be the best friend of mine. Now, there we go. Finally, it's gone back up there. Apologies for all the technical difficulties, but there's not a lot you can do about it. And we should be back up and running there. It's a really good shot there, by the way, as you can see with Xiaozington. Still going to be giving the turn away back to Ding Jawi, but ultimately he's managed to give the turn away whilst having the Ding to be snookered here. So he certainly finds him in a lot of discomfort here, as he tries to find himself still in a comfortable position in relation to all the other reds that he's left available here for Ding to be taking. And yeah, he certainly left him a chance with trying to go for the right side cushion. But once again, you've got a little bit of 5 reds, something like that you can try and catch with the main pack. Whether you're going to be able to do that from one cushion whilst not really giving a chance away to your opponent, it will come down to, well, basically how well can you actually hit this one with no pace needed at all. And it's a decent effort there from Ding Jawi, but it still may prove not to be enough there, because Xiaozington has got a red to be taken into the yellow pocket. He's been taking those shots really well so far in this session, apart from, a couple of misjudgments that he had already. So let's see if this one is going to follow the footprints of the previous one. So look at that, loads of confidence, although not necessarily loads of confidence on the positional play. It's another red that he takes, but there's still going to be plenty of reds available there for Ding Jawi. 91 points left at the table, as you can see. So is he going to try and take the brown into the middle pocket? He will. Is he going to miss that one? No, he won't. Well, I thought he was going to try and use a little bit too much of the back end part of that middle pocket there. But right now, he still finds himself on the break of 5 points right now. And yeah, he's going to be 46 points clear. He's got so many of those points to be, in between himself and Ding Jawi as he takes another red away. So now 51, 59, 67, 75, yep, 83 at the table right now. So 47 is the gap, 83 at the table. If he gets himself another red and a black combination, surely that's going to be getting through to mission impossible for Ding to try and recover. But ultimately, you have to say for now, Ding still is going to stand a decent opportunity. And Xiaozington, I'm not too sure which one of those reds was he playing for, but he certainly doesn't seem like he's got enough of a purchase on the cue ball. So unless the lowest of those reds is going to go into the corner, seems like he's going to struggle to try and play that one in. Clearly was playing for the highest of those reds to be taken at the right corner of the table. That's not going to happen now. And he's got 54 points of elite, 83 at the table. So let's see what can he try and achieve here as he goes for just one of those. Well, it's a bad shot that he's played there, really, because he nearly left a chance to Ding Jawi to be taking a red into the right middle. I say nearly left a chance. I'm still not sure if he has left that opportunity, because he clearly was focused on trying to put the cue ball on the black to be onto the black ball cushion. He put the black there, and it seems like even though he hasn't put the cue ball there, he's managed to sort of get away with that mistake. As 54 points, once again, is the lead there for Xiaozington. 83 is very much the points remaining at the table. So Ding, for now, just trying to get those reds not to be too bunched up, because he's going to need all of them to try and take it. Another comeback potentially available. And you got a chance to try and go with a long shot yet again there for Xiaozington, something that he has been doing throughout the entirety of the match, entirety of the tournament. Whenever he sees a chance, he tends to go for it. And something that you probably have to say about Ding Jawi as well. If he sees a good long shot opportunity, you'll certainly go for it. But for now, you'll certainly see a good safety shot there by Xiaozington. And now an opportunity for Ding to be the player that steps on the gas a little bit and could potentially see Xiaozington to be the player disappointed in the way that him not taking his previous chances, although he's going to miss this red and the cue ball is going to go way too low on the table. He's put one of those reds safe, and yeah, that's going to be one mistake too many there, surely, from Ding Zhuwei. And it's a really good chance now for Xiaozington to try and make things right now ahead of the frame number 16, which could still be the one that takes in all the edge in terms of 10-6 is surely going to be the gap which Ding Zhuwei can't manage. As he takes that red away nicely into the corner, he only needs a couple more of those reds, and then at that stage, the frame is going to be over in his favour. The pink probably will just about squeeze past another red onto its own spot. And then 61 points of a lead, 75 at the table. One more red and pink combination, and Xiaozington will certainly see Ding Zhuwei to be needing snookers, but ultimately, you'll see Ding Zhuwei to be in a bit of a bad position there when it comes to the other frames. And when you talk about the experience of the previous frames out there, when you have got a win to nil, it pretty much never happens to be Xiaozington there, because Ding had a problem getting over the line in the 14th frame. He was able to do that at the end, but right now it doesn't seem like he was going to get anywhere near Xiaozington in frame number 15. Now just having a look at the green that he's about to take. Of course, he's not over the line just yet, and I said that he needed a combination with a red and a pink. A red and a blue would have guaranteed him a respot, but he tried to go for that green to be bringing that cue ball closer to the red. And now he's just about to carefully take this one into the right corner and make sure he gets himself the position on the pink to be taken into the left corner. So right now, just carefully try and take the pink into the left part of the table. As I say, he's not really going to be able to go for a high value break here. It's just down to getting a couple of those reds to be potted. Make sure that, you know, Ding doesn't see any reason to come back to the table, which have probably gone beyond that point. And now we are going to be approaching the last frame of the second session. And ultimately, 15 frames in, it still looks pretty comfortable for Xiaozington to be the winner. And he's looking 9 frames to 6 clear. There doesn't seem to be too much sign of a pressure. There seems to be a not missed coming here and there. But apart from that, he seems to be in firm control of the match. And now looking to try and make, well, full advantage of this one, that's for sure, because he's about to take the black into the corner. He had 3 difficult reds to try and make his way through, and he's managed to make his way through one of them. And in the end, he's not even going to be lined up for a double. So just having a look to see what he's going to be able to do with one or the other of those 2 reds, as he's going to be on the break of 34 points. In the end, he's tried to go for a little bit of the cut along the side cushion. It hasn't worked out, but it's something that he doesn't really have to care about too much, as it's still a break of 34 points, which adds on to 41 points, which he was able to score at the starting point of the frame. And now Xiaozington is certainly going to take a comfortable lead of 9 frames to 6 against Ding Zhuwei. And it comes away very interesting to be saying on what is actually going to happen at the end point of the second session. Is it going to be Xiaozington to take that 16 frame away from Ding Zhuwei and get himself to be the player very much in the lead again? Or is he going to be a bit of a different story? And, you know, Ding is going to find himself within 2 frames away of trying to make a game out of this match in session 3. Because, listen, if it's going to be 10-6, you may as well have not turned up for this one, because we were always going to see Xiaozington to be losing an odd frame here and there. But you will be very disappointed there, Ding, with how many chances he had if he is going to come away with only 2 of those frames to be won. He's still going to be in there with a shout, but for now, it seems like whenever there is a frame lost from Xiaozington's point of view, it's always going to be down to his own mistake, and very rarely due to the brilliance of Ding Zhuwei out there as well. So then just looking for the re-rack of the reds to be completed. It's Xiaozington, Ronnie O'Sullivan's protege. He kind of is. He's got a couple of players from China, which, I mean, he says that he's going to be sort of very, very praiseful of, you know, Weezer, and he says that he will be a world champion in 3 seasons as well. Right now, you probably have to say it will come down to Xiaozington and Weezer as being those 2 players, which you could sort of say Ronnie has got great praise for, but at the end, you know, you're probably going to have a couple of others as well. So let me just finish up with this one here. Sorry, apologies for that again. So I don't know why on earth he would start doing this one right now, but it certainly seems like I got a little bit of an issue here on the streaming platform because it just keeps shutting down on me without a chance for me to respond. And I have to refresh it again. By the way, I've got it on the separate screen there, but it's very inconvenient to be watching. So I just have to try and make sure that I get it on the screen anyway, which doesn't seem like it's working out. Sorry about that again. Don't know what is going on here, but it should all be fixed right now because I have got and put it onto the separate scheme. And at the end point, it won't be down to too good of a news for Xiaozington there, because that first chance that he was looking for is certainly not going to come to him. It is going to come to Jawi here, because the first red that he sort of pushed towards the green has finished up in behind the cue ball, and now this red is going to be possible, and Ding can try and take it into the right middle. Let's see if he's got any issues with trying to pop this one away. Well, he sort of didn't, but at the same time, he hasn't played this shot about as well as he could have there, because the shot that he has got on the green is not going to be quite as easy as it could have been, but also the shot on the pink. I mean, you want to take the shot into the yellow pocket for the positional play there, but when it comes to being lined up for the reds, you have to make sure you don't take it into the left middle, or if you do take it into the left middle, you have to send that cue ball on the journey. So it's going to be a difficult shot there for Ding to try and execute. So the pink is going to be in. Let's see where the cue ball is going to finish. It seems to have a really nice line. And yeah, in the end, he's going to have a really nice finish there from Ding as well. So now, gets himself 7 points of a lead. And now just looking to try and make sure that he is going to be the one to try and end this session really strongly with. You know, a good performance at the end of it. Just having a look at this red that he's about to take into the left corner. So just carefully making sure that he makes no contact with all the other reds and the colours. So he's got a break of 8 points right now, which still puts him into, I wouldn't say a comfortable position for the frame, but certainly puts him as the favourite right now to try and take this one away from Xiaozington. So he's got 3 more reds at least, including this one that he's about to take, that are available to him. I'm not too sure if he's got any more of those still, as he's about to check the situation with the green and the pink. And yeah, just make sure that the referee is going to be able to respot the green quite nicely out there. So now 11 points is the break. So if you're going to try and push this cue ball through the red into the left corner, you will come down to having an angle on the black to try and sort of force that cue ball to be heading for a couple more of those reds that he can try and take towards the right-hand side of the table. So I'm not too sure about that particular shot selection, but it should still come down to a decent point there, where Xiaozington is potentially going to come back to the table. Whether that will be the case or not is difficult to tell. Ding is certainly taking a bit more time on those shots. He's going for a backspin shot, which to me suggests that he's going to try and split the bunch here. Well, it hasn't worked out too badly. It hasn't worked out too well, though. He's got a red to be taken into the right middle, but it's a question of whether you want to take this red on or not. I mean, Ding rarely refuses a pot there when it's available, but this is not easy for you to take on. He's able to just about find that cue to be heading in between those 2 reds. So can he try and avoid the jaws in the middle pocket? He's played that shot and he got that one in. He doesn't want to be hampered by the red though, and he looks to the... I mean, he sort of half looks to the sky as if to say he's still not happy here. But let's see what's it going to be. Yeah, he's going to be hampered by this red, you know. And so topspin needed. He needs to try and push the shot through the black, which doesn't make it easy. But he's played that about as well as he could have. It's a really nice shot there from Ding Jawi. And now he puts himself in a position of 27 points as the advantage. And now certainly looking to try and make the most out of this break as well. Can he try and make sure he doesn't have the same sort of problem as the one that he had in the 14 frame, where at least he was able to get over the finish line, but it still was anything but pretty for him. Now is he trying to go for this pink, for the black I should say, about to be taken into the left hand side of the table, And he hasn't played this shot badly at all. In fact, he's going to be perfectly lined up for the red to be taken into the right corner right now. And having a bit of a laugh there with the crowd and the referee. Just making sure that he still has got a chance to try and actually bridge over those couple more of those reds. As he's looking to try and make it past this frame number 16. And certainly do that in a great finish for himself. You know, he's got 35 points of lead, so it's not over just yet for Xiaozington, but certainly would expect Ding to have the ability to try and get over the finish line. Although it will come down to the next couple of shots that he plays, which will surely be able to tell us the whole picture of it. So for now, it's the red that he's looking to try and cue nicely, get that cue ball around the black, and once again, doesn't want to be too straight on this one, which it seems like he wasn't really able to avoid. But being straight on this one is not really going to put you under too much pressure and scrutiny. So session time, only just over 2 hours there. It's been 2.5 since it started. With all the breaks in between those frames and intermission, it does bring you down to around 2.5 hours of the entire time of the session. So yeah, for now, it does seem pretty decent there for Ding Jawi. 43 points of a break. Still going to be on the right-hand side of the red, which allows him to try and play for the black with no further complications. And just having a bit of a careful look in relation to this red. Just needs to make sure he doesn't lose control of the cue ball. And keeps it pointing in the right direction for him. So that he's going to be looking to try and stay on the black for as long as he can. And then just avoid leaving himself with too many of those difficult shots there to be taking. Whether it's going to be down into the left middle. Or a bit of a different story as well. For now, Ding seems like he's about to take another red here. Whether he's going to try and take this one into the front jaw. Now, he was playing that one closer to the back end jaw out there to clearly make sure that he was going to be through with the top side of the blue that he carefully takes away. And now I'm just looking to try and go for another opportunity here that he's going to be looking for. Looks like it will be 9-7 lead for Xiaozington after this session. It does look to be the case, but it's not quite over yet. Remember, with all the struggles that Ding Jawi had trying to get over the line, he's got a couple of more reds to try and pot, literally, because if he pots 2 of those with 2 expensive colours, he certainly should be able to see himself to be through to the second session whilst only having 2 frames of a deficit out there. As right now, it's a break of 58 points. So still looking very nicely for him indeed to try and make it past this breaking point. And now just carefully trying to get around the cue ball there. Make sure he's going to be positioned nicely for that red. Well, he's not going to be positioned nicely for it. And it's a provisional shot for the frame ball there. Because if he pots the red and he's on the collar, he certainly is going to be a frame ball. For now, it's his 4th highest break of the entire match. All he needs to do is to get this red in. He's always going to be on the blue if he gets that red to be in the pocket. So right now, it's a very important shot now for Ding to try and make sure he doesn't leave any of those chances away for Xiaozington. So now, he's indeed going to be on the blue, and he will be. A little bit with a struggle, but at the end point, it doesn't really matter. And he's about to make it 69 points of the advantage, whilst only allowing Xiaozington to have 67 of those points remaining at the table. So maybe Xiaozington will still try and make a thing out of this one in relation to trying to make it a battle. But I wouldn't really expect Ding Jawi to crumble under pressure. And for once, he does actually manage to find himself to be over the finish line in relation to having his opponent to be in his snookers. But what's he going to be here in relation to the situation for this frame? Is he going to try and go for a little double? Just try and spread the reds across the table? Or is he going to be a bit of a different outcome here for him? Seems like he's thinking about trying to go for this red into the... yeah, he's just trying to split them up, to be fair, which, I mean, ideally, he would have liked to keep them in a bad place there. Because right now, Xiaozington, of course, can't really afford to be heading for, you know, too many of those attacking options because he can't go for the pink. And it's going to be really difficult for him to try and play for the black as well. So now just having a look to see on what's he going to be available for him. And certainly should not have played a shot like that. And he should be frame conceded. And it will be Ding Jawi to be taking 9-7 of a deficit into the third session of Sunday out there. So for now, it is still Xiaozington that does have the lead of 9 frames to 7, but Ding Jawi is not out of the picture just yet, and is still certainly going to try and make a real battle out of this one in session number 3. For now, it is going to be Ding Jawi 7, Xiaozington 9, as we have a look at how the other table is doing. You know, Watchalong is still looking to try and get over the finish line in frame number 7. The same Buffet still seems like it's going to be a real threat for that as well. In the meantime, feel free to tune in for the evening session in less than 2 hours time, where he will be Ronnie O'Sullivan against John Higgins, as the class of 92 are going to be going at it again. It's first session of plenty to see on which one of those two great players will be through to the third round. Thank you very much for your watching once again, and feel free to be back for the evening session of the match. Ronnie O'Sullivan against John Higgins. Stay tuned in.